Wrote a note to Ellen?
That's about the summer.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Sorry, I usually write it down.
It's okay.
I thought those dogs looked pretty good. All right, because they were dogs I've never seen before either.
There's only 7A1 and 2. A4 is the
Oh, so.
So I leave for Michigan.
Oh boy, I know for Bill's.
Yeah,
Oh, how sad. How old was he?
he was only 75.
Just a few years older than me.
Yeah, it just happened. It's like we get a phone call saying, "Hey, Dad doesn't feel good. He's on his way to the hospital."
Yes.
Brother drives to the hospital. It's an hour and a half drive. He gets there, and a few minutes later,
Do they know what happened? Heart attack?
it was pneumonia and then sepsis.
Oh yeah, I know what that is.
So,
But sometimes you can survive that.
yeah,
He
but
must have been ill. Just
So,
poor thing.
Bill's
but
been there a couple days, and I'll leave in the morning for the funeral.
No, his
he'll
son
be back
had
Sunday,
a car accident.
maybe.
Okay.
Well, he's like, want to drive back. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, don't
Hey, you know what? That truck back.
I know.
It'll
I
be
will.
good for you too.
Because he wants to bring back three vehicles, and I'm
And
like,
he want and
it's a 2-day drive.
you're like, you know what? You'll be good.
I-
You'll love it. You'll
I've
love
driven
it.
cross country before, so
Yeah, and it's fun. It is fun. We've done it many times.
why do it once? I did it once a year with my kids. For the
Yeah,
last
we
20
did too.
years,
That's what we
but
did.
I've never
Oh.
done that route, so that'll be different.
It is at the Michigan weekend all the way up to Canada,
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah, so I
a
normally
van.
just go I-40. You know, like
Yeah,
I've never
gotcha.
gone up before, so.
Oh, just drive.
I know.
You'll love it. You'll love that.
Yeah,
It'll be.
in
It'll
a-
be.
in-
It'll be good for him. It'll be good for him.
In a white, like 1985 van. Yeah. It'll be. I'll feel like Cheech and Chong coming back.
Maybe I could draw stuff. Fine.
Get stopped at the border.
I'd like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for May 16th, 5 o'clock. We'll have a Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll go ahead and lead that. So if everybody would stand up, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos.
May be seated. We'll have a moment of silence to honor the APS graduates who have lost their lives serving our country. Thank you. Could I have a roll call, please? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sergio is our interpreter here. Appreciate it. He'll give you some instructions.
Thank you, Dr. Piercy. Good afternoon. If anybody needs an interpreter for English and or Spanish, please let me know. Raise your hand. Buenas tardes, señores. Si alguien ocupa intérprete para inglés y español, favor levante su mano. Aquí tengo los audífonos. Gracias. Thank you, sir.
Gracias. Now I'll have a roll call. Thank you.
Here? Here. Here?
Here.
Presente.
Here?
Here. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the May 16th Board of Education meeting agenda, and approval of the May 2nd Board of Education meeting minutes, and with a one minor change, and that is I'd like to pull off for the consent item. Just before the consent items, we'll consider those separately. That would be 7.2 and 7A2 and 7B4. Okay.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We'll go on to recognition of students. Board Member Yolanda Cordova.
Welcome to tonight's board meeting, and thank you for coming. Our first recognition will be introduced by Dr. Richard Bowman, Chief Information and Strategy Officer.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Reedy. This past March, during Women's History Month, a young lady from Jefferson Middle School made a bit of history herself. Ms. Kaylee Anderson achieved certification in the Gen Yes Youth and Educator Succeeding program. Kaylee is the first girl in New Mexico to be Gen Yes certified and only one of 5 girls nationwide to be Gen Yes certified. Gen Yes certification demonstrates students have applied the technology skills they have developed both in the classroom and by helping their school effectively integrate technology. Gen Yes certified students have made substantial contributions towards meeting their school's technology priorities by doing technology assistance projects such as maintaining technology infrastructure, providing professional development, and creating digital content. Gen Yes certification is performance-based and is rigorously assessed on what students do with their knowledge. I'd like to introduce Ms. Lori Valdez, who will tell you a little bit more about Ms. Anderson and the Gen Yes certification.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman. To receive a Gen Yes certification, Ms. Anderson was required to complete a minimum of 100 TAPs. And as Dr. Bowman had mentioned, a TAP is a technology assistance project. That can range anything from setting up and configuring computers, installing programs and updates, helping teachers that struggle with technology integration in the classroom, a number of things. She has also assisted at least 10 unique teachers in that process, or district IT staff. She has provided at least 25 total hours of technology assistance and collaborated on at least 15 technology assistance projects as part of a team. And she was also required to defend her work to a panel of experts. Ms. Anderson is the 26th STL, Student Technology Leader, to be Genius certified nationwide. At the middle school level, she is the 10th middle school STL to be Genius certified and the 4th middle school student in New Mexico, all of which, may I add, are Jefferson Middle School students. I also wanted to say a few words about our program facilitator at Jefferson Middle School, Ms. Loretta Harris. Ms. Harris has supported the Genius program and the team since its implementation there 3 years ago. She's inspired students to pursue certification through the Genius process and to continue their learning, their curiosity, and their exploration of computer sciences. Ms. Harris, would you please stand to be recognized? And we're very grateful to her and her dedication in support of the Genius program.
So, Ms. Anderson and Ms. Harris, will you please come to the podium? And would the friends and family of Ms. Anderson please stand that so we might greet you? Ms. Anderson, we are so proud of your extraordinary work to receive the Genius certification.
Maybe I'll just move this.
Our next recognition will be introduced by Troy Hughes, Associate Superintendent for Zone 4.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Reedy, tonight I have the honor of recognizing an exemplary staff member. John DeFay, Executive Director of Maintenance and Operations, recently received the coveted Joan W. Maddox Award of Excellence from Dude Solutions. This prestigious award was created to recognize an individual who provides world-class customer service to their community, has a record of professional customer service excellence, demonstrates continuous improvement best practices, has a servant heart philosophy, and a dedication to their community. He goes the extra mile to ensure that customers are handled quickly and efficiently and embodies a positive can-do attitude. John DeFay was given this award for several reasons. Mr. DeFay follows the leadership beliefs of Dave Ramsey, loves his team, freely gives praise, seldom uses his power, surrounds himself with rock stars, and casts his vision. Sounds pretty good. I don't know if he wrote this himself, but we're going to go with it. He embeds customer service culture at every level of his department and not only requires all employees to practice service diligently, but inspires them through example. He can also create one of the mostly wide-used templates of the comprehensive K-12 district annual maintenance and operation reports. Mr. DeFay generally wants to do what's best for kids who attend Albuquerque Public Schools. Mr. DeFay attended APS schools from first grade through graduation, as did his 4 children and his lovely wife of 39 years. Mr. DeFay, will you please come to the podium? Thank you very much for all your support for students, schools, and the communities. Let's show our appreciation for Mr. DeFay and his writing skills.
Continuing on, our next recognition will still be continued with Troy Hughes.
Mr. President, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Reedy, tonight I also have the honor of recognizing an exceptional educator and one that I've had the privilege of working alongside. Mr. Randy Martin was recognized last year as being one of the finalists of the title, with the title of National History Teacher of the Year. Tonight, we are recognizing Mr. Martin for participating in the Teachers for Global Classrooms. The Teachers for Global Classroom, TGC, program equips teachers to bring their international perspective to their schools through targeted training, experience abroad, and global collaboration. The TGC program is funded by the United Department of the State Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs and implemented by the international nonprofit organization that is part of the Fulbright program. 76 teachers throughout the entire United States was selected to be part of the Teachers for Global Classroom Fellows for the 2017-18 school year. One of these teachers was our Randy Martin, who teaches 8th grade history at Desert Ridge Middle School. Mr. Martin was sent to Senegal, West Africa, the westernmost part nation in Africa, to teach, study history, and make new connections between the students and his students and the students of the rural village of Just, Senegal. Senegal served as the final departing point for up to 20 million enslaved Africans, many of whom were brought to the United States. As it turns out, Mr. Martin was teaching a unit of slavery just before being sent there. Talk about perfect timing. Now he is building a curriculum website dedicated to many of the principles of global education that he learned through the program and has begun to provide professional development to teachers in the Albuquerque community about his experiences. Mr. Martin was connected with the TGC program through another teacher at Desert Ridge, Ms. Turtle Hayes, a colleague who participated in the program a few years ago. Mr. Martin, would you please come to the podium? Family and friends, principal, would you also please stand so we can recognize you? Outside of teaching, Mr. Martin is a contemporary and historical musician playing the banjo for various groups. As it turns out, the origins of the banjo are found in the southern part of Senegal as well, and he was able to make some musical connections there as well. Mr. Martin, we are so proud of you and your accomplishments and looking forward to hearing more about your work in the world. Let's show our appreciation for Mr. Martin.
Our next recognition will be introduced by Antonio Gonzalez, Associate Superintendent for Zone 2.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Reedy, tonight we have the honor of recognizing an outstanding staff member. Jean Saavedra, support principal for ESSA designated schools, recently received a national recognition. The University Council for Education Administration bestowed on Mr. Saavedra the Excellence in Educational Leadership Award. The University Council of Educational Administration is a consortium of higher education institutions in the United States, Australia, and Hong Kong that are committed to advancing the preparation and practice of educational leaders for the benefit of students, schools, and communities. The Excellence in Educational Leadership Award is given to unique individuals like Mr. Saavedra who have improved and supported school administration support programs through their generous and varied professional contributions as practicing school administrators. Mr. Saavedra has been instrumental recently in assisting us in the ESSA rollout in relationship to our ESSA designated schools. Mr. Saavedra, will you please come to the podium? Will the family and friends of Mr. Saavedra please stand so we may honor you as well? Mr. Saavedra, thank you for the ways you support elementary, middle, and high school principals throughout our district. Let us show our appreciation and honor in congratulating Mr. Saavedra on this very impressive recognition.
Our next recognition will be introduced by Shannon Barnhill, Executive Director of the Albuquerque Public Schools Education Foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Piercy, board members, and Superintendent Reedy. The APS Education Foundation, with the support of the district, announced the Hall of Honor inductees at the most recent Gold Bar Gala last month. The Hall of Honor is an annual recognition of some of the best who grace Albuquerque's classrooms, playing fields, hallways, schools, and the district. It is with great honor to recognize two outstanding individuals who gave tirelessly in contributions to their schools and departments, and who went the extra mile to improve the lives of our students. I would like to welcome the 2018 Hall of Honor inductees Marianne Anderson and Mark Shea. I really had to scale down on what I could present about each one of them, because that would have taken 2 more meetings just to go over what wonderful things that they have done. So I'm going to begin with Marianne. Marianne began her 37-year career in Albuquerque as a kindergarten teacher at Mission Avenue Elementary School. She taught and served as an administrator in several schools within the district, including Monte Vista Elementary, Armijo Elementary, Marie Hughes Elementary, Alvarado Elementary, Stapleton Elementary, and Chaparral Elementary. She is notably known as opening the school, Stapleton Elementary School. And she also was named, she was an advisor, I'm sorry. You were an advisor to the superintendent? Oh. I'm telling you, Marianne, that was going to be a new one for me. She has been recognized by the New Mexico Association of Education of Young Children for her work in early childhood education and served as president in 1982 to 1983. She was awarded Principal of the Year in 1994 by the New Mexico Association of Education Office Personnel. In addition, Ms. Anderson served on numerous district committees, helped APS serve their students the best. So thank you, Marianne. Now to Mark. Mark began his 30-year career as an APS dispatcher with the APS Security Division in 1976. He became a sworn officer a year later in 1989 and was promoted to sergeant. In 1991, Mr. Shea became the deputy chief of the APS Police Department. He retired 15 years later in 2006. Understanding fully the critical role the APS Police Department provides in education of our students by providing a safe environment in which they learn was Mr. Shea's primary role. He worked tirelessly over the 3 decades with our district to build a security division into a police department that valued character. Students were the heart of his work. He worked with many programs aimed at protecting children and keeping them on track to live a successful life. He designed the patch now worn by our APS police officers, which includes the pillars of character and the safeguarding of the motto of the safeguarding our future. Both Marianne Anderson and Mark Shea have displayed a deep reverence for education in their careers with APS. They both not only taught and served as mentors, but they never stopped learning. They provide instruction, but they never gave up on being students themselves. Marianne and Mark just this evening joined their fellow inductees on the Hall of Honor wall, which is just right outside of this room. I hope that you will all take a moment to go and look at their plaques. So at this time, I would like the family and friends of our Hall of honorees that are here tonight to please stand so that we can greet you. Please join me in honoring Marianne Anderson and Mark Shea, our Hall of Honor 2018 inductees. One last moment.
I know.
There's always somebody.
This one's mine, honey.
You're one more over. Yeah, that's why
Thank you.
I just followed you.
Oh, I know. I didn't know which way. I was like, do we go down this
No,
way?
but I had to come up anyway. I did.
You seem to be sighing a lot these days.
Our next recognition will also be done by Shannon Barnhill.
Thank you, Board President Piercy, board members and Superintendent Reedy. It is with great honor to present to you a loyal and devoted foundation corporate donor whose service to the community is not only a commitment, but it's their culture. The donor is deeply invested in the community service that they give to our community. Blue Cross Blue Shield's partnership has enabled the foundation to increase support to the students through the foundation's grant programs by funding amazing, innovative projects, providing new experiences, and creating an outstanding learning environment. Just this year, Blue Cross Blue Shield funded and made possible some amazing things. The Garfield Middle School their robust robotics program, which we just visited the other day, and we're proud to say was an all-girls team who won the state competition. West Mesa High School's Junior ROTC Near Space Challenge, which engaged over 3,000 middle and high school students. And most recently, the Imagination Playground at the Aztec Complex. And these are just a few of the great programs and opportunities that they have strongly supported. In fact, just on top of their annual contribution to the foundation, they increased that by $13,000 this year so that we could fund the West Mesa program. So thank you. Blue Cross Blue Shield plays a very special role in the continued success of our students and our teachers. Thank you, Blue Cross Blue Shield, for your strong belief in the APS education and having such an impact on thousands of students. We are so grateful that you are a part of the APS community. I'd like you to please join me in recognizing Consuelo Cowder and Becky Kinney.
I should have worn my Fitbit.
Our final recognition is of a fellow board member. Ms. Peggy Mueller-Aragon was recently elected to the NALEO National Policy Institute's Board of Directors. NALEO Educational Fund is the nation's leading nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that facilitates full Latino participation in the American political process, from citizenship to public service. So congratulations, Peggy.
Thank you all. I'm very excited. So it'll be nice to be representing New Mexico. So it's a good thing. So thank you all.
Good.
So that concludes our recognition. Congratulations again to everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're now going to begin public forum. So whether you are here with the request for the Board of Education to consider, provide information, or just see how the Board of Education operates, we want you to know that you're all welcome. The Board of Education has established rules for expected civil behavior during the meeting and public forum. Upon signing in to speak tonight, you received a signature form and copy of the procedural directive, which outline those rules for expected behavior. The presiding officer will enforce these rules as appropriate throughout the meeting. Tonight there are, I think we changed our number. There are 14 speakers. Therefore, to accommodate the greatest number of speakers, each speaker will have 2 minutes for comments within the public forum. The time remaining to speak will appear on the screen in front of you, and you may not yield your unused time to another speaker. You are always welcome to submit additional comments to the board in writing if you are unable to convey your message or you're not able to speak within the 30-minute public forum. The Board of Education encourages you to stay for the entirety of the meeting so you may listen to board member comments before we adjourn. Only at this time may your concerns be addressed at the discretion of each board member. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up the first 3 speakers, and if you could line up, then we'll just keep calling you up like that. The first one is David Hansen. Second is Dana Ziegler. Third is, looks like Colleen Lazowski, okay. Right, so you may begin.
Hello, my name is David Hansen. This is my wife, Stephanie. Over the last 4 years, we've been very active parents at our neighborhood school, Painted Sky Elementary. We have supported our son's teachers and attended nearly every school event. My wife even went there to work there 2 years ago as an EA in the bilingual education program. But on February 20th, everything changed. Our 8-year-old son was brutally attacked by a classmate on the playground during recess. Without any warning, no prior interaction or verbal exchange, this classmate ran up behind our son, grabbed him by the back of the head, and slammed his face into the playground equipment. He landed with his head inside of a climbing ladder. Very lucky he did not break his neck. He did suffer a severe concussion, several stitches to close a facial laceration, and a swollen and blackened eye. When I met with the Painted Sky administration the next day, they insisted that it was a playground accident. Their response was to discipline the perpetrator by making him write a book report and present it to his peers, because public shaming is how they choose to deal with bullies. Needless to say, I was furious. I filed a report with APS police, who did a thorough investigation and concluded this was a battery. But they told us they wouldn't do anything because of the age of the offending child. They said they would simply defer to the Painted Sky administration. He was suspended for a day and a half following that investigation. We met with the school administration the following Monday and voiced our concern for our son's safety, especially since the offender was in the same class. They offered to move our son to another classroom but refused to move the offender. They informed us that safety plans were in place and were prepared to fully support our son's reintegration back to school, yet as soon as the meeting ended, they all simply stood up and walked away. We walked our son to class that morning alone. Not a single Painted Sky official accompanied us. From the moment the attack on my son occurred, a power differential was created, one in which my son had the least amount. My son stated that he has witnessed this student bullying others before. There was no clear history of bullying my son, yet from that day forward, a clear and deliberate pattern of bullying has emerged. While he has not physically injured my son again, he has consistently sought to intimidate my son and to isolate him from his friends and peers on the playground. We have repeatedly reported this to the school administration, who have dismissed our concerns. Their attitude is that our son has not been physically hurt again, so they are doing their jobs. We escalated our grievance to Student Services and Zone 2 Principal Support in an effort to resolve this solution.
I'm sorry, your
Nothing
time is
has
up.
worked. I called the superintendent's office 4 times in 2 days requesting a meeting and was denied.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Regardless, we have been marked as pariahs at Painted Sky. I no longer feel safe with my son attending. I no longer feel safe with my wife working there. The Painted Sky administration has turned into a bully themselves. They have continually violated confidentiality.
Excuse me, sir, but it's 2 minutes, and we have to stick with that, so everybody can do it, okay? And if you need to talk with one of the administrators, please do that afterwards, okay? Please do that. We only have 2 minutes. We only have 2 minutes, okay? That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have talked to every administrator.
We understand. If you could please leave with Mr. Gallegos. He'll help you with this.
For your assistance.
Okay. Dana.
I'm Dana Ziegler, and I'm one of the representatives of the Hoover Middle School. We are here because we were informed on Monday that all 3 of our social communication support classes will be moved to Hayes Middle School next year. We are here to express our extreme disappointment with this decision. The way in which this decision was reached by administration staff at City Center is confusing and appears to not be in the best interest of our children. Our primary concerns are extremely late notice of this decision and a lack of detailed information provided to us. The movement of students within the district. Our limited understanding is that many of the students at Madison will be moved to Hayes, and then all of our students that are not in Zone 1 will be moved to Madison, even though they live within the boundary of Hoover Middle School. A frequent turnover of staff at Hayes, which will result in a lack of consistency when our children leave the SCS classroom. Less elective choices at Hayes. Our students need frequent interactions with neurotypical peers to build their pragmatic language and social interaction skills. A decision that seems to be very last minute, poorly thought out, and continued evidence of a lack of consideration by the special education department at City Center. We were told this decision was based on numbers alone. This makes very little sense, and the kind of change has to take into consideration the needs of our children with autism and their families. You are splitting up a fantastic special ed team because of this decision. If the district had bothered to do anything other than look at the numbers, they might have realized that teams such as ours are rare within the district. Our students frequently comment that coming to Hoover was the first time they actually enjoyed school. We and our students deserve better from this than from the special education department. We are heartbroken that our close-knit, well-functioning team will be torn apart. We are heartbroken about what this decision will do to our students, and we are furious with administration that this decision was made so close to the end of the year. And I would like to submit a written statement, if that's okay with the board. Thank you.
I am Colleen Lajewski. I work at Hoover Middle School. I have taught in the autism program for 8 years. I get kicked, hit, scratched, spit on, and I still love my program. My students are kind, caring, funny, intelligent, and a joy to be with. And again, I am here with my team. We work together well, and now our world was turned upside down Monday afternoon at 2:45. My program is being moved to Hayes. At the meeting, little information was given. They were unable to tell us when the parents will be notified. There are, 6 days of school left? They were unable to tell us where our kids will be going, Madison or Hayes. They told us we have until Friday to make a decision, to move or find another position. Our students are being sent to an F school for more than 2 years, and they do not have the facilities we need for our kids in the SCS programs. I was told by Lila Ramirez that transportation should have a student list to her by Friday. What is going on? It is quite apparent that transportation is making placement decisions for our special needs students. What is going on? We are frustrated by the lack of support, understanding, and consideration that the special education department is demonstrating to our students and to our staff. Superintendent Reedy, what is going on? You discontinued the autism resource team. What is going on? Your decisions are not made with the students in mind. That is apparent time and time again. How do you intend to keep special education teachers when we are treated this way? I worked hard for my degree. I work hard for my students, and I get very little respect from the APS Special Education Department.
Thank you, Ms. Lajewski.
What is going on? We are frustrated and heartbroken.
Thank you. That's 2 minutes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Our next speaker will be Logan Roy, Franklin Ghana, and I can't read this name, Jintinali Sharma, or G. I'll just put G. So we'll start with Logan Roy.
My name is Logan. I'm a student from Loretta Solana for Leadership Academy. I'm going to tell you about the 3 things I like about my school. First thing, the teachers. I like that they are patient, considerate, and vigilant. Second thing I like.
Take some deep breaths. That's good.
I like what we learn. It is exciting, it is important, and it is fun. Third thing I like, everybody in the school, everybody treats each other like family. And I would not be who I am today without Loretta Solana. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Go ahead, Franklin.
That's a tough act to follow. Prejudice. It's hard to explain. Perceptions between white people and black people, still very hard to explain. The Civil Rights Act started on December 1st, 1955, in Birmingham, Alabama. We've learned nothing from it. The Obama era, over. We've learned nothing from that. I was talking to a coworker of mine, 33 or so, today. And he said, you know what, Franklin? I do it subconsciously. He's white and male. And I said, I know, I felt it. I feel it every day when I walk into a school building. It's everywhere. It's what the millennial generation is struggling with. Period. Period. More later.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm G. Sharma. I'm here to talk in support of the special ed program that we received, the help that we received. So this was a program which was called as More Than Words, and it was actually a hand-in program, and it was for the parents of children with the autism spectrum disorder and or the social communication difficulties. So this program was conducted by Sandra Main, who is a SLP evaluator at the Southeast Diagnostic Center. So I'm just here to tell how great the program was and how important it is to continue the program so that in future the families can benefit and kids can benefit from this program. So one of the important things about the program was the way that it was conducted. So Sandy was a very great resource and she was a great teacher, the way she conducted the program. She made it a fun learning thing. And then a very important other aspect of the program was the video presentations that were incorporated in between the whole learning process. And she also made the home visits where they would come and record when we are interacting with our kids. And then based on those video clips, they will show us how we can improve and do a better job. That helped us learn a lot. And we got a great learning from the program, and based on all the things that we learned, we improved a lot of things, how we were dealing with a lot of issues with my son. And I'm happy and proud to say that with all that we learned, Our son has made significant improvements, and then he would be going to a regular kindergarten school with just few services which have been specified, and he would get all those at a regular kindergarten. So I would just like to applaud, and for Sandy, can you please sign? Thank you. So this has been a great program. Thanks.
Okay, our next three, Loretta Naranjo Lopez, John Canavan, okay, and Angela Vigil. Go ahead.
Good evening, President and Board of Education members. My name is Loretta Naranjo Lopez, and I'm the president of Santa Barbara Martinez Town Neighborhood Association. I'm a 1978 graduate of Albuquerque High and a proud Bulldog. I am here to recognize and celebrate also Mr. Herbert Stanley. Mr. Stanley exemplifies a strong leader, which is why we would like to see him as our next principal at Albuquerque High School. Mr. Stanley has had a strong relationship in the community and has attended many of our meetings. He worked with us and our representative at that time, Rick Miera, to deal with the flooding that was occurring from Albuquerque High School. And we received funding to place a ponding at the Albuquerque High School property. He also works with us on the neighborhood safety and preservation work that we're doing. Mr. Stanley has a strong relationship with our community because he has taken the time to build that relationship and has made an effort to meet with us all the time. And so that's the reason why we would like to see him as our principal, because our community deserves a leader who is part of the community. He has made that effort with us. So I thank you for this opportunity to talk about him, and we hope that you will consider him as our next principal at Albuquerque High. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is John Canavan, and I'm here to tell you my story about, well, Sandy's going to talk to you later about the Hansen program, which helps parents with kids who have autism communicate better, behave better. I have, as you can see, two wonderful little daughters. One of them is on the autistic spectrum and one is not. One of them had 0 friends 2.5 years ago and barely communicated at all. We got into the Hansen program because one kindergarten teacher knew about the program. I'm really shocked at how many educators don't know about the program, and I'm frankly appalled that they don't know about the program. But we've found in the 2.5 years that generally their behavior has gotten much better. They're 6 years old and they're hungry, so. But they now have 20, 30 friends each, and they're a joy to their teachers and they're a joy to me and my wife. And Sandy is just an absolute godsend. And as long as they're not hungry, I can calm them down and keep them behaving, but right now it's kind of a lost cause. But the program has honestly just been the greatest thing that we could have ever hoped for. And I would like to stay and listen to Sandy talk about her program, but it's obviously not going to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, girls, now we're going to go eat. You hungry?
Angela.
Honored School Board, it is my privilege to speak before you this evening. My name is Angela Vigil. I retired from APS in 2014 with 32 years as a classroom teacher. 26 of these years were at my beloved Albuquerque High School, the school that I graduated from in 1977. I worked under 5 principals from 1988 to 2014. The school, which began in 1879, means the world to me. The last 4 principals at our school have been appointed. I am pleased that this time APS, thank you, is going to allow the alumni association, the current student body, the current staff, the entire AHS community is going to be allowed to be included in the decision of who our next principal will be. My family ties go back to AHS over 90 years. My family, as well as Bulldog families throughout history, would agree that we need a principal who values AHS culture, who values our pride, who values our tradition. Our AHS Bulldog community was concerned that the perfect principal be chosen to lead our school, that we set up a grassroots petition campaign, which began by word of mouth and has been signed by, at the time, 1,378 people. Now we add 50 more, and it continues to grow. We would like to see Mr. Herbert Stanley, AHS class of 1975, as our new principal. Mr. Stanley has served as an APS educator for 38 years. 34 of these years have been at Albuquerque High. He has risen through the ranks at our school, beginning as a teacher with me, head wrestling coach. He is currently in his 18th year as an AHS assistant principal. Mr. Stanley's a soft-spoken man of integrity who loves our school and he loves our students. The students all love Mr. Stanley.
Thank you.
Mr. Stanley would be honored to serve as our principal. This is our book that we compiled.
Okay,
in the
thank
back
you.
are all the handwritten, and then these come off online.
Okay, thank you. All right.
That you can look,
Thank you very much.
read all the wonderful comments that people throughout history.
Okay, we appreciate that. Okay, we'll go on to our next two because we've got a couple more speakers that we still have to get our time in. Zeta Raimundi and Anna McKee.
Hi, my name is Saida Raimundi.
Oh, Saida, okay.
It happens all
Hey,
the time,
okay.
don't worry about it. Dr. Piercy and board members, I'm here basically to ask for your compassion for students on the autism spectrum. I am a teacher at Madison Middle School, and I found out this afternoon that several students from our school are going to be transferred to Hayes Middle School. To have students at one school, 6th and 7th grade, and then transfer them to 8th would be difficult for a typically developing student. For students on the autism spectrum, it's even harder. It's greatly magnified for them. It's taken some of these students over a year to acclimate to being at one school, and here they're going to be transferred to another school. That is not promoting their success at all. Okay, I am a firm believer that being on the autism spectrum is a challenge. It doesn't have to define them. But this type of transfer will actually define them, and in a negative way. I ask that you rethink this decision in good conscience, and may I suggest that if you're going to begin this process, you do that with sixth grade students who are going to transition from elementary to middle school anyway. Thank you.
Good evening. Excuse me, I have a cold. Good evening. My name is Anna McKee, and I wanted to thank you all this evening to have the opportunity and the honor to speak because of the Hansen program. My husband and I participated in the Hansen program for the past 3 years. It's a phenomenal program, and you've heard the other parents talk about it. It's got at least 3 decades of research behind it. I think it's absolutely amazing. We have gone from more than words to talkability with our child, and it's greatly helped us, not just at home, but also externally when we're out in the community, and it's increased his ability to speak by a great amount. I would also ask you for 2 things to thank both Sandy Main and Amy Witt. They are the little engine that can, and they are doing amazing work in APS. I cannot express my gratitude for these 2 women because they have changed our lives and the lives of our son. And so I just wanted to say thank you and also to ask of you two things for them. One is that the doors are open in the classrooms by the teachers to welcome them into the classroom so they can bring what they have learned about the children into the classroom as well to help with the speech in the classroom and help with playing with other children and making friendships. And then to continue to have the program open and to have communication about it. It's quite shocking to see that the program has been around so long and there is so little activity that has occurred, but there's only 2 women, so they need more support. And I think they also need help in training the teachers more and in training the speech language pathologists. This program is tremendous. I can't tell you how good it is. You have to live it to believe it. And I think we really need a lot more partnership with the teachers and with the SLPs to kind of marry that partnership from the home into the classroom. And that can't be done without your continued support of the program and continued support for those members that are touching our children's lives in the school. So thank you very much this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we ask questions?
I think, I don't know. I should ask Dr. Pearson. I'm not. So she want to know if she could ask a question. Can she ask a question, the board member, or no? At this point, okay. So thank you.
You can do that during your talk.
Okay. So thank you for your input. That concludes the public forum.
We'll go on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Board President Dr. Piercy, board members, community members, and staff. In recognition of the importance of bilingualism and biliteracy, Albuquerque Public Schools has developed a clear bilingual seal pathway, K through 12, in which students have the opportunity to acquire a district seal, K through 12, and a State of New Mexico bilingualism and biliteracy seal in Spanish, Native American languages, and foreign languages. The Spanish bilingual seal and the Seal of Distinction honors a student's proficiency and skills in 2 languages. As a district, we encourage students to pursue rigorous coursework that provides an opportunity for students to maintain, develop, and advance in English and Spanish and other languages. The completion of the specified units of credit and the portfolio will serve as evidence of their skills for future college, career, and personal opportunities, as well as provide an opportunity for each school to evaluate a student holistically. It is a very difficult and involved process, and student portfolio presentations are really very, very impressive. The bilingual seal program saw a drastic increase in their number of participants and seals in the school year 17-18. There are 418 high school bilingual seals that were given, and there are 167 elementary and middle school bilingual seals. This is a new program this year, and we are very, very proud of it. So that brings the total for 2017-18 total number of bilingual seals K through 12 of 585. This is an increase of 306 seals from the previous school year and a total increase of 231 participants from the previous school year. I'm thankful. You have no idea how thankful I am for all the teachers and staff who helped make this important program possible. In a recent presentation to the Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce, I mentioned that a hope for the future was for Albuquerque to be the first U.S. city to offer and support fully a bilingual workforce. And quite frankly, I think we're well on our way. So here's a shout out. Mahela Marin, Senior Director for Grant Management, recently had a momentous experience, and she became a citizen of the United States of America. Ms. Marin was among 197 aspirants from 49 countries at her naturalization ceremony. She says of her experience, oh God, this is going to be, She says of her experience, I look upon a long line of immigrants coming to this country that shaped their own course of history and believe that, from certain perspectives, we are the lucky ones. We have a clear perspective on the opportunities this great nation offers its entire people.
One of our own.
Ms. Marin is proud of her heritage and believes that it will enrich the cultural blend of her adoptive country. I know she will enrich Albuquerque. She certainly has enriched APS. Ms. Marin is here tonight. Mahela, will you please stand and let's start clapping for you some more. Thank you for sharing your experience of becoming a new American citizen. Well done.
Awesome.
That was cool. Today, APS staff met concerning the recent response from the Public Education Department regarding the grant applications of our MRI schools, which are Whittier and Los Padillas Elementaries. We're reviewing and carefully preparing a response that is due May the 18th, which is this week. I figured that out. It will be shared with you when it is ready. Albuquerque Public School seniors who graduated last week started their festivities by walking the halls in caps and gowns at neighborhood elementary and middle schools. Many of the seniors had been students at the very schools that they visited. And it's not one visit, they've been visiting all year long. As they celebrated their accomplishments, they were cheered by former teachers, school staff, and future high school graduates, including siblings, neighbors, relatives, and superintendents. I was there too. Please join me in watching this short video of seniors from La Cueva visiting students at E.G. Ross Elementary School. Was very short, but wonderfully done, and I must say that the videographer, what is that called? When the person who does the videographer was moi. I took that, and I think it's a wonderful videos. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation for today.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. We'll go on to special issues. Special issue A is the briefing on notice of unsatisfactory performance for charter schools. It's a discussion presented by Debbie Elder, Executive Director of Innovation of Choice, and Dr. Joseph Escobedo, Director of Innovation and School Choice.
Mr. President, members of the Board, Superintendent Reedy, tonight we are providing you a briefing on the notice of unsatisfactory performance, and you have a couple-page document in your folders that shows primarily first on the first page the Article 12, which comes from the contracts that you have been approving for our charter schools, which we use a contract template that was approved by the Public Education Department, Public Education Commission, and has been used for several years with our charter schools. In that contract, it outlines very clearly what the district and you, as an authorizer, the APS Board of Education, can do when there is an issue with a school. And so we must follow certain steps to ensure that we are upholding our contractual obligations. And so that process includes issuing a notice of unsatisfactory in no less than 10 days in which the concern has been found. We must also give the school 10 days to respond to that notice of unsatisfactory performance, and we may require them to develop a corrective action plan. That corrective action plan is intended for the school to do a self-reflection on the concern or the issue that has been brought up, and to really evaluate the systems and processes that they are putting into place so that they may improve long-term. You have been copied on 3 schools that have received notice of unsatisfactory performance this year alone. In the charter school work that we've done, and the charter school law has been around for about 20 years, we must follow this process as our contractual obligations. However, I do meet with a charter school design team, which is made up of our core team within Albuquerque Public Schools who works with our charter schools, and 7 members of our charter school leaders from throughout the community. I wanted to bring the briefing to you tonight because our design team has really had a lot of discussions about this, saying we really need to be transparent to you, to the community, and to parents and students when an issue arises. So we will be bringing you an update to our procedural directive, which really cites that we need to transparently and publicly bring these issues for you. And so that is why we're taking the first step with La Resolana tonight. So any questions about the briefing, state statute, or procedural directive around notice of unsatisfactory performance or the process that we must follow?
Are there any questions from the board members? Seeing none? Are you ready to go into the second?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go on to the 6B, which is the notice of unsatisfactory performance for La Resolana Leadership Academy Charter School. And we do have a couple of speakers that will speak after you give your presentation.
Great. So, Mr. President, members of the board, we are bringing you the notice of unsatisfactory performance for La Resolana Leadership Academy. Per state statute, we currently authorize 25 of the 56 charter schools in Albuquerque. For the 2018-19 school year, we will authorize 29. Per state statute, we are required to perform an annual site visit where we evaluate the school on academic performance, operational compliance, and financial compliance. In addition, we do have our special education resource teacher, which is the liaison to our charter school department, Patricia Espinosa, which I wanted to introduce you tonight. She's part of our core team. And in that annual visit, we have, for the first time, have a dedicated person really examining the special education compliance of all of our schools. This is a great step forward for us to not only provide support, but also accountability. During the site visit, as you'll note in the letter, we did find some major concerns of the special education program at La Resolana. And following the contractual obligations that we have, we did issue a notice of unsatisfactory performance, which you received in a 10-page letter, which cites the concerns that we had and frankly, the compliance errors of federal, state, and in some cases, APS procedures to support our students. You may ask, why am I bringing you the notice and I'm bringing you the contract all in one evening? We felt that we needed to be transparent to you. And so knowing that the contract for La Resolana expires June 30th, and we must bring you their contract before June 30th for consideration, we wanted to transparently make the connection for you instead of bringing them as 2 separate agenda items weeks apart and not make that deliberate connection. So Patricia and I stand for questions regarding the notice of unsatisfactory performance. And I do have Justina Montoya, from the principal and founder of the school, and Robert Lemming, the governing body president, who is also here to who may offer a response. The school did respond to the notice of unsatisfactory performance, and Mrs. Yeager did provide that to you through electronically, I believe, yesterday. Yesterday was the 10-day, the end of the 10 days for them to respond.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have our 2 speakers come and present other speakers are Robert Lemming and also Jodam Lovato, I believe is the name. And again, I will give you 2 minutes because this is like a public forum, but yet you're presenting here as part of this item. So just want to make sure you understand we got 2 minutes. Okay, thank you guys.
Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Reedy, my name is Rob Lemming, and I'm the president of the Loretta Solana Leadership Academy Governing Council. I'm also a parent of a special education student there. My son, Logan, actually spoke earlier. He's on the autism spectrum, so we are very proud that he had the courage this evening to speak. I joined the Governing Council a little more than a year ago when it came to my attention that the school needed some changes. And it was with a mindset towards change and service that I joined the Governing Council in the first place. And during that time, one of your former colleagues, Dr. Don Duran, was the president of our Governing Council. And under his leadership, I found his leadership to be instructive and invaluable, most importantly in the area of accountability. And I wanted to address that this evening, having learned some important lessons. It is true that there were unsatisfactory results found in the special education audit. However, those results don't constitute the sum total of what our school is, what our school culture is like, or what our students' experience is like. Since the findings of the audit, Principal Montoya, Jodan Lovato, our most senior special education endorsed teacher, 2 level 3 endorsed special education consultants, and myself have set into motion the corrective action plan, which I believe you all have a copy of. And included in that plan is a system of transparency and accountability where the principal, special education teachers, and a team of other teachers in the school will review each and every IEP according to a strict schedule. Those systems didn't exist before, and they do now. And perhaps they should have been in place sooner, admittedly, and we are moving forward with that. In addition to the corrective action plan in place, we intend to hire 2 special education teachers with at least level 2 qualifications. So with this system in place, with the experience that these individuals will bring to the table, we hope that we won't have these problems in the future. The expertise of those new hires is going to be invaluable. Lastly, we have been in touch with a consulting firm to do a deep dive evaluation for strategic planning, both short-term and long-term, so that we can better, as a governing council, as an administration, and staff and faculty, address the needs of our students. We've rapidly responded to these results and to improve our special education program, and we are working tirelessly, and we are confident that we will give the utmost experience to our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is it Joe Lovato? Is that correct?
Jodan Lovato.
Jodan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Sure. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Reedy, good evening. My name is Jodan Lovato. I'm a teacher and mentor at Loretta Solana Leadership Academy. I currently possess a level 3 license in K-8 as well as special education with endorsements in science and health. I was also a finalist for the 2018 Teacher of the Year. It has been a distinct pleasure working at Loretta Solana Leadership Academy for the past 11 years of their 12-year existence. I come here before you to request your support to approve Loretta Solana Leadership Academy's contract for a 2-year renewal period because our model for middle education works. This can be proven by observing the results from the spring 2018 NWEA MAPS short cycle assessment data. According to this data, the students who attended Loretta Solana Leadership Academy achieved the following gains. 72% of the cohort for the reading achieved 2.6 grade levels in 1 year. 75% of the cohort in math achieved 1.54 grade levels in 1 year, and 81% of that cohort in science achieved 2.43 grade levels in 1 year, respectively. This data also includes a large population of students being served with an IEP. We have been and are currently being recognized in a positive light by the state. We fully understand the severity of the audit findings within our SPED department and are working diligently to correct these findings and complete all components of the corrective action plan in the coming weeks. Even though we did have issues with the special education department, this is by no means a general reflection of the work we do with our students and the success we have worked so hard to achieve. Again, your support for this renewal is critical in helping to provide a good, free, appropriate education to all students who enter our doors. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you very much. And we're open for comments. Is that correct now? Okay. So if you have questions for Joseph or whatever, we'll be willing to entertain that. Yes, Board Member Garcia.
Thank you. Mr. Escobedo, I'm just trying to figure out where we're at. So you've documented that you had some concerns. The school has responded and said they are addressing those concerns. Can we move forward given the response? And if so, can this board delay deciding what we're going to do, or do we have to do that now in June?
Mr. President and Mr. Garcia, very good point, and I apologize I wasn't clear on that. The contract must be executed by June 30th for the school, or the school automatically doesn't have a contract and we must move forward with closure procedures. So if tonight you do not want to act on the contract, that is fine. We can bring it back at a later date. Where we are with the special education concern is the school has responded. The next phase will be for, they have drafted a corrective action plan that is not at this point acceptable to our office. And we had a lengthy meeting about that yesterday. And so we will be working with them on their draft. But I want to make sure it's clear that we don't develop the corrective action plan. It is important for the school itself to have that self-reflection and to be examining the systems and processes that have simply failed our special education students at this school. So Patricia has a tremendous amount of respect, and I'm very lucky to have her on my team. And in discussing with her, and she can tell you herself, she feels that with putting the proper systems and steps in place, the school can move forward. But it is important for us to put all of this into context for you with the history of the school, in that last year they sought renewal with us. At that time they had, during our site visit for the renewal, they disclosed they had a $200,000 deficit, pretty close. We brought that to you. We recommended denial. You, the board, agreed with the denial of the renewal. They appealed to the public education department, who asked us to work with the school and negotiate. And during negotiations, the deficit had been cleared. And so now we approve them for 1 year moving forward. They brought their renewal application to us again. During our review, we didn't feel confident that they should receive a 5-year contract. So we brought you a 2-year proposal, and you approved that in the fall. And so now we're moving forward with that contract. But during that, we have found this issue, so we felt like it needed to be brought to your attention transparently.
Right, and so the question is this issue significant enough that we should deny this renewal?
Mr. President, Mr. Garcia, I believe that if the school can move forward to fix the issues, however, with the history of the school, I have major concerns about the viability and the long-term goals and work of the school and the impact on our students. This is our most vulnerable population that is not, these students through our examination were not receiving the services that they needed to be.
Okay, so I'm assuming that your answer then is a yes. Because I can't quite tell what you're saying, and I think we need to just put it on the table with this school so that we're clear. As a board, it's difficult to, my opinion is, as one board member among the 7 of us here, it's difficult to decide what to do here, given what you've presented. I have your concerns, I have the response from the school. I also remember the history that you enlightened us with just now, your summary, thank you. It helped me to remember some things. My recollection also was that this school offers very unique services in our community where they seem to be meeting the needs of many students. Now, again, is this concern significant to the point that we need to say, no, this isn't really working, or not? I can't quite tell from your answer.
Mr. President, Mr. Garcia, we cannot give you a recommendation to revoke the charter because we have not followed what the contract prescribes, which is issuing the notice of unsatisfactory performance, the response, the corrective action plan, and letting that play out. It may be very well that if we move forward with the contract that we come to you in the fall or spring and say they are either making great progress to correct the deficiencies or they may not. I can't predict that, but following the process, I am not bringing you a recommendation of revocation at this time.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
I just have a question. Can we execute a contract with a corrective action plan attached to it?
Mr. President, Ms. Montoya, yes. Ms. Montoya Cordova, yes.
Okay, let me clarify just a little bit. This is discussion relative to the actual notice of unsatisfactory notice. The next item is really about the contract itself. So we will discuss a little bit more about the contract itself there. But we do need to kind of understand the relationship between the contract and the notice of unsatisfactory and what your thoughts are in that. And so let me just continue here and let you ask questions, and then we'll go on to the contract aspect, and you can give us your thoughts on that, okay? Board Member Miller-Aragon.
So Dr. Escobedo, what effect would it normally have, the unsatisfactory performance have on charter renewals? So I know they're not up for renewal till 2 years from this past fall, correct? Is that right? 2019, is that right?
Mr. President, Ms. Mueller-Aragon, yes, they would receive a contract for July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, but they would have to submit their renewal in October 2019.
19.
Right.
Okay, so 2019. So a lot of the concerns that you're seeing now, were those a lot of the same concerns that we saw last fall or when we were talking about renewal?
Mr. President, to Ms. Mueller-Aragon, no. This is
totally
different.
It was a fiscal concern in the fall.
It was a fiscal concern in the fall. This is a concern with their special education program and compliance with
yeah,
state
I saw
and
that
federal.
was mostly with that, most of that. So, I mean, so since we renewed their charter, so we can still, we can revoke it now so they wouldn't be able to continue with the school year 2018-19?
Mr. President, Ms. Mueller-Aragon, if you do not approve their contract by June 30th, then the school, we must move forward with closure procedures, essentially revoking the contract.
So then what kinds of things, Dr. Escobedo, are breaches of the charter? I mean, I was looking and going some of the things that have happened. So what kinds of things are serious? I mean, I think they're all breaches, but.
Mr. President and Ms. Mueller-Aragon, any major deficiencies that are in line with our performance framework that we look at regarding academic, operation, and financial compliance. So, for example, one of our charter schools is received a notice of unsatisfactory performance because of financial oversight concerns and repeated audit findings. And so that is an example of another charter school that has we have moved forward with the notice of unsatisfactory performance.
And so can you tell me if their enrollment has increased? Because I know that's been a problem for a long time.
Mr. President, Ms. Mueller-Aragon, I believe their 120th day enrollment was 76 students. Is that correct? Can you come forward, Ms. Montoya?
So I know it's been around 70 for
It has not significantly increased.
many years, right?
So I believe that our 120 was about 76 students, yes.
Okay. And what, do you remember, Ms. Montoya, what it was last year? Last school year?
For the 120-day count? No, I don't remember right now. It's probably in that same vicinity because we have a high mobility rate.
Okay. Okay. And then, Dr. Escobedo, with this response that you received from Loretta Solana, what did you think about the responses?
Mr. President and Ms. Mueller-Aragon, we had a very healthy conversation with Ms. Montoya and Mr. Lemming yesterday, and all in the spirit of moving forward and what they needed to do to reflect on developing their corrective action plan and putting the systems and processes in place to support students. And so our conversation yesterday was student-focused, and so I thought it was positive.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments? Board Member Armijo?
Yeah, I brought this up once before last year, but I was curious. APS provides financial policies and procedures training, and I may not have that correct in its name. And once before I asked if our charter schools would be available to attend those kind of trainings. And I noticed on here that you're requesting a review and update of all their financial policies and procedures. So again, can charter schools attend the APS trainings that we provide?
So, Mr. President and Ms. Armijo, it varies by training, but specifically now that we have a dedicated person for special education, we will be providing those trainings, and we have a great resource in Patricia, and so we are actually planning for next year to be having monthly meetings that really coincide with what our special education department does with our head special ed teachers throughout the district. Anything else you want to add?
The question was about financial?
Yeah, so that's great to know about special education. Can we do that with the financial policies and procedures as well?
So our financial policies and procedures, our charter school business manager, Judy Bergs, works directly with their business managers. And so we were also talking about, is there some sort of at least, quarterly meeting that we could be doing to support them as well. So we're also taking that view as well.
Great, thank you, and thank you.
Yes, Dr. Board Member Patterson. I mean the doctors. Yeah, I've just promoted you. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe that's not a promotion.
All right, thank you. Dr. Escobedo, my question is, how long has this school been in operation?
12 years, I think.
We're completing our 12th year of operation.
And in that time, how many, have there been significant audits or reviews of the school? Say within the last 5 years, say within the last three to 5 years.
Yes, well, we have an annual audit, financial audit every year, and special ed audits. Yes, we have had special ed audits also in the last 5 years. And we just came off a special ed corrective action plan a year ago, and it fell apart again this year. So we were successful in completing that special education corrective action plan with the public education department, and worked with an APS IEP specialist for 2 years to get our program back where it needed to be. And so we were confident at the beginning of this year that it was going to continue that way, and it did not.
So there have been significant findings in the last 3 to 5 years, is that correct?
For special education, they were, and they were both personnel related.
Personnel related, all right. Thank you, I have another question.
Board Member Montoya.
Mr. President, may I also add, Mr. President, when a school switches authorizers from the Public Education Commission, we have requested the Public Education Department to provide us with information of corrective action plans, such as what was just reported to you by Ms. Montoya. The Public Education Department did not provide us that during the Loretta Solana application. So what we have done just to fix that system is any future renewals, there is a section on the application that the school must disclose to us because of the concerns that that I have with my lack of communication that I get from the charter school division at the Public Education Department.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. My other question is, you have about 76 students. What is your budget? What does your budget look like?
Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
We have $50,000 in emergency reserve and reserve funds, and our budget is healthy right now.
What does that mean?
That that we're ending the school year in the black, and we were awarded some extra funds this year, which gives us the funds that we need to hire the 2 special education teachers that we're planning to hire.
So what was your budget like last year? Were you not able to hire additional staff?
Well, we've hovered around 23% special ed for the last 11 years. This year, we had a really high influx of special education students, which we were unprepared for. So we did apply for a waiver, and those waivers were approved for the 40, 80, and 120 day reporting. And so with the extra funds that we got in this year, in our interview with Patricia, we did disclose that we were planning to hire 2 extra teachers next year, so we do have the money to move ahead with that.
Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Montoya Cordova.
Yeah, I think my question was pretty much going to settle in around the number of students, and you said that you had a higher influx. Can you tell me just a little bit about the types of disabilities that you're having to accommodate?
So this year, most of our students are in the classroom with the regular education teachers on an IEP and receiving services from the special education teacher that we had, and also from the regular education teachers with accommodations and modifications. Some of the disabilities we have range from, we have a Down syndrome student, we have some autistic students, we have students who have various disabilities with processing, being able to process language and writing skills and those kinds of things, that were born with different disabilities.
Would you say that at your school, because of the lack of, having the supports in a real healthy way, were these students not able to access like comprehensive learning styles or approaches or adaptive equipment or things to help them to actually succeed in the classroom?
One of the things that we've determined in reflecting on what's happened this year is that that in our conversations with parents, students, our teachers, our ancillary staff, we do feel that the students did get the services that they were supposed to get, as best as our special education teacher could provide those with the support of our other licensed special education teacher. And the main problem was that the services were not documented correctly. So on the IEP forms and other processes that that we did not have formalized in place is where the majority of our problems came from with this unsatisfactory performance.
Did these students have an IEP this last year?
Some of them came to us with out-of-date IEPs because, for example, a Down syndrome student that we have was homeschooled for a year, so he came in with an outdated IEP because he'd been homeschooled for over a year. And so, you know, we do get kids in that do come to us in circumstances like that with out-of-date IEPs.
But did the IEP get updated?
Yes, it did.
Other comments? Board Member Peterson.
So can you describe or explain a little bit? You said that you had just been through corrective action around IEPs and you had a plan, and can you explain a little bit more why it fell apart?
The best way that I can explain it is that last year I hired a level 1 teacher who was participating in the OPAL program, and so she was supposed to complete her licensure this year, but she's at the end of the school year putting in an extension for that. So I think that with the influx that we got at the beginning of the school year of students, you know, we had in our school, I want to say we have about 17 sixth graders, and over half of them came in from APS because they were in traditional schools before with an IEP. So I think that she was overwhelmed with that and was not accepting of the support that we offered. And then I also take responsibility for not monitoring her more closely in terms of ensuring that the IEPs were compliant and documented correctly.
So here's my issue with all of this is, I mean, we know just from experience within APS that staying on top of IEPs, maintaining the special ed programs that are needed in a way, it's hard work. But when people start a charter, it's saying we don't need your structure, we don't need your rules, we have a better way of doing it. And as a school board, the only authority that we have really is to either say you're approved or not approved. It's the responsibility of the charter to make it happen. We have a responsibility for overseeing and making sure that programs within APS are responsive, that they follow and abide by the laws. We have structures and supports in place for when that doesn't happen. The nature of charters is that charters are saying, we want to break off, we have the ability to do this, and we should be able to maintain independently. So then when we come back, we're faced with this dilemma of what do we do? Because in fact, we have very little authority except to say thumbs up, thumbs down. The financial stuff, it's the whole point with the charters is you are saying, we don't want your help, we want to break off, we can do this. And then we end up in situations where the pieces are trying to be picked up. Now, without a doubt, and it's one of the reasons why all of the issues with charters is difficult, because there are some kids whose needs are met very well within the charters, and so it's really emotional. But I find it to be a real dilemma that this is two times in the last year that we are facing this with Loretta Solana. It's a real concern, and I know Dr. Escobedo, the efforts are being made to pull it together because there is a recognition that there are kids that are benefiting from your program, but I have a real hard time with it.
Well, thank you much for the information. I think it's really important for us to hear these things. Let me kind of clarify a little bit, Joseph. I know this is part of the second part, which is the contract performance framework. But what you said in the first part is that in December, we actually approved a 2-year contract effective July 1st, 2018 through July 30th, 2019. That's only 1 year.
2020, sir.
It should be 2020.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's my first clarification. Second thing that's kind of interesting to me, and that kind of brings it up with regard to what some other board members have said, is that I typically don't find charter schools having very much to do with special education students. And this is one charter that does, actually, which is kind of interesting to me. In other words, when I look at charters in general, I think their population of special education students is pretty low, and it's usually not really critical. I'm not talking about Down syndrome kids. I'm talking about other levels of special ed. And yet, I think it is our requirement that if a charter can't provide those special education students service, that we in APS are actually required to do that. Is that correct?
Mr. President, members of the board, we are not required to give these services to the students. It is the requirement of the charter. Mm-hmm. And so...
which is interesting, because in reality, in private schools, we are required to do that.
That is correct.
So now I have a real conundrum here with the fact that if I have a private school student who goes to the academy, let's say, and is a special ed, and they can't provide that service, we in fact have to provide that service, even though they may pay us for that. In other words, I think there's some kind of a funding kind of a thing. But yet in charter schools, we're not required to provide that service if they cannot provide it. That's what you're telling me, is that right?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, when the school writes their original charter, they must describe what that special education process and program is, and we must evaluate it to ensure that it is providing the services that are needed to the students. And so that is Patricia's main responsibility, and she has been in all 25 of our charter schools multiple times. I'm really appreciative of the special ed department because we need to bring all of our charter schools up to speed in special ed. We are under corrective action. Yeah. We are doing a lot of work in this area, and
it's important to understand that what charters do does affect us in terms of how we're rated, findings we have, various things, because it's kind of reported as part of our report to the Public Education Department. And so it's incumbent upon charters to be able to provide those kinds of services, which is difficult. I'm talking about both financial, I'm talking about special education and those kinds of things, which according, in line a little bit with what Board Member Peterson was saying, we really have no authority to do much other than to say, well, if you're not doing it. And I know Don Duran was, I know he worked with you guys in La Solana, but was pretty adamant about the fact that charters need to be able to provide the services. In other words, he was pretty hard about that. And if you couldn't do it, he wasn't in favor of you being a charter. That was kind of interesting because he was kind of a charter person to some extent, He was kind of a supporter of charters. So I'm a little bit like Board Member Garcia, a little bit in a questioning mode in terms of what it is that we might do. I love the fact that we have some students. And I thank you very much, Mr. Lemming, for your for your son. Great, you know, I think it's fantastic. These kids are special.
In the right way.
Yeah, in the right way. And so it's hard for this board to decide how to do these things, you know, because we don't want to put special education kids out on the whatever, you know, and I think it is, to speak a little bit to my Hoover folks here, and according to what I understand a little bit, it is difficult to take kids who are special education kids out of their environment that they get used to. It is difficult to do that. And particularly kids with autism, kids that have special things. And so we have to be cognizant of that, you know, in terms of what you're doing here with Loretta Solana, for example. I think, again, and I know we're going to go on to the next item about the contract itself, and I assume that contract is for the 2 years from July 1 to the June 30th of 2020, right?
Mr. President, yes. We are bringing you consideration for approval of the contract of performance framework for Loretta Solana beginning July 1st, 2018.
Yeah.
Through June 30th, 2020.
Yeah.
When we brought you the recommendations, we had some concerns regarding their strategic planning,
right.
Fulfillment of an open governing council position.
Right.
They did not have a proper financial
right.
audit committee. They also lacked a chief procurement officer certification and did not have adequate policies and procedures that were unique to the school.
Right.
They have met all of those conditions prior to us bringing you the contract. However, since that time, the governing council president, Mr. Don Duran, has resigned from the governing council, leaving another open position. And the school has been issued the notice of unsatisfactory performance regarding special education.
Right. So when we did the December, did we indicate at that time, I mean, it's been, what, 5 months? You know, there's a lot goes by in 5 months. I can't remember. Did we indicate that you needed to bring back to us the contract itself? If we approved the contract then, I mean, the question was, did we ask, because there were these concerns at that time, for you to bring it back to us for reconsideration? Is that kind of why we're getting it again?
Mr. President, when you did not approve the contract, you approved the renewal and approved me to negotiate the contract once these conditions were
I'm with
met.
you. Okay, thank you. That's a clarification I wanted to understand. You know, we kind of granted the renewal, but we still had to have the contract come back. And if we don't approve the contract, then the renewal is out. Okay, so I do understand that. Okay. All right. Well, let me close this off, and let me go to you talking about the contract itself and what it is that our possible options are regarding the contract, okay? And I think, again, from what I understand, what you're saying is we could actually vote on the contract, yes or no, or we could indicate that we want you to come back to us at some time here in the near future to see if you have resolved some of these other issues. You said you've had some conversations about the unsatisfactory report. Maybe that can be clarified a little bit more. I don't know. It's up to the board, I think, in terms of what we think we want to do on that. But let's go on to the next item, which is talking about the contract itself.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, in the fall you did approve a 2-year renewal for the school and did approve me to negotiate a contract and performance framework goals with the school once the conditions that were met on the action memo, which are in bulleted form. The school did meet those conditions. They have proper financial policies and procedures that have been reviewed by our business manager. They do have a chief procurement officer. They do have an operating finance and audit committee that is in line with state statute. They did fill a governing council position, and they did provide us a strategic plan. However, since that time, another governing council member has resigned, which was their board chair, Mr. Don Duran, and the school has been issued this notice of unsatisfactory performance. So the timing isn't perfect, but I have to do my due diligence and as your authorizing representative. And so I understand it is a conundrum. We've, Debbie, Dr. Marmol, and I have had many long conversations about what do we do? And we have to be straight up and to play this exactly the way the contract is designed to do. So,
well,
you know,
we have from May 16th to June 30th. So my question to you is, in that time frame, in your opinion, do you think that some of these issues that you brought up can actually be resolved, can be brought back to us with that information and satisfactory enough for us to actually at least vote on a contract with your...
Mr. President and members of the board and superintendent, the only thing that I can see between now and June 30th that would help us to move forward with would be an accepted corrective action plan so that we would then monitor next year. Okay. I do not expect the school to make significant progress in implementing the systems and for us to be able to test them out. We need to allow time for the corrective action plan to be developed, tested, put into place, and for us to do the appropriate monitoring. So that would be the only difference between not making a decision now and waiting for the corrective action.
So do you believe that they can get a correct, maybe that's directed to the principal, do you believe you can get a corrective action plan accepted in that time frame?
Yes, we've already worked on a draft, and I'll be working with Patricia to fine-tune it. And and we are working with an IEP specialist who is also rewriting and doing addendums and amendments to the IEPs that need correction. And we're hoping to make significant progress with that so that all IEPs are in compliance before the start of the school year.
Okay.
And Dr. Piercy, can I say one more thing? We did fill that one governing council position at our meeting this past Monday night. I just forgot to tell Dr. Escobedo.
Is that Logan's dad?
He's our governing council president.
Yeah, he filled that position.
No, we have 5 governing council members now. Okay. So I just hadn't told Joseph about that yet.
Well, you know, in the same manner in which I like to have our public education department work with us to make sure that we are given time to do corrective actions to, in fact, implement our MRI program. I like to give an opportunity to see if corrective actions can actually be accepted and put in place. So my kind of recommendation would be for us to postpone this contract approval until, let's say, the middle of June, maybe, one of our June meetings, and see if you guys can come back with a corrective action plan that's accepted. And that would allow us to, I think, have a little more information in terms of that. That's kind of my thought. Now, if that's okay with the board, if it isn't okay with the board, I'm open to that as well. Board thoughts on that?
I'm okay with that. I just, you know, what you said before about how we don't take back or provide services, well, it's part of the whole nonsensical nature of how this is set up. Because Loretta Solana, unlike the Academy or Sandia Prep, is publicly funded. Our mission, when a student walks into Hoover opens its doors wide and says, "Welcome, you are our student." Theoretically, that should be the case of charters. They're taking public money, although the governing board is appointed. There's nothing democratic about the governing board, although they take public money. And they are responsible, just as any traditional school should be in meeting the needs of a student that walks in the door. And when we look at the demographics of most charter schools, that is absolutely not the case. They clearly don't do that. One of the things that I think makes us more reluctant to simply slam the door on Loretta Solana is that there is a conscious attempt to meet the needs of students with IEPs and who have extraordinary needs. And so it makes us a little more reluctant to say, sorry, the door is closed. But the fact is, this school has an obligation, just like every other school in APS has an obligation.
Yeah, I think those are good comments. Any other comments? Or what's the board's wishes here with regard to this idea of the contract? What are your thoughts, Peggy?
Well, listening to Dr. Escobedo and going, is that even, we're talking about time. They need time for something to happen, time. Giving somebody a month is not a lot of time anyhow. When you're thinking about time in a school and actions being taken place and you being able to see changes, I don't think a month is enough time.
Well, they're not going to be able to do that. That's clear. I think he said that, if they certainly wouldn't be able to implement a corrective action plan. What we're talking about is to have a corrective action plan with the pieces in place that would in fact say, I think if you can implement this, then that would satisfy what we're trying to do. Now, are we willing to give you 2 years to try to do that or not? That's really the question. So, my first question is can you even get a corrective action plan that we believe is acceptable? If you can't do that, then I say, okay, then probably we don't want to go ahead with the contract.
How is this going to be different than the one that kind of fell, like Member Peterson?
Don't know.
How will this be different than the one that fell apart? Will it
Don't
fall?
know.
You're giving people a chance, and I'm all for, giving people chances. But I also want to see that a school is also growing their enrollment also, which I have not seen at the school since I've been on the board either. So that's a very big concern as well.
Well, and again, I think we do have the question of how do we service these students? That is an important thing. And so if we believe that we can service those students better as part of our system and work with the school to do that, that would be an obligation for us to be able to do that.
Those are vulnerable students.
They're vulnerable students.
To get what they deserve.
On the other hand, I do know from what I said, the special education students who get used to an environment are very used to that environment. And it's very, very difficult for them to address another environment unless you're very careful about how you do that. And so the question of how we do that, but the question is, are they getting the services they need? So it's really a conundrum that we have in terms of what we're trying to do. So I don't know, I hear the questions. Board Member Garcia?
Well, it's
wisdom to this.
First, I want to say thank you for your efforts. The idea, if I understand it correctly, on how sort of the concept of charter schools began was that we would have an opportunity for these schools to try things, do things, learn things, and share them in terms of what they've learned with us so that we could do some of those things as well. I just feel like it's hard to get this school out of the blocks, so to speak. It's kind of not an articulate way to say it. I would like us to bring them back in 6 months and see if we have a correction plan that has been implemented, if we're consistently moving forward, if the school is consistently moving forward. I was not happy with the financial challenges that this school had last time, and I didn't pull any punches about that. I was not necessarily even in favor of renewing, but then came to find out that, well, it wasn't that big, and it got smaller, and now it sounds like you're in good shape. It's hard to run a school. It's hard to run a school district. But we, I think as a board, are kind of, in need of an incubator, if you will. I mean, can this school work with our special ed department as part of our corrective action plan to move things forward? We did that for one charter school. We took over their finances for 2 years, if I remember correctly. And they seem to be okay. But it's still very iffy. We don't stand on solid ground necessarily because of the challenges of how this has been set up. And so my hope is that we would be able to bring them back in 6 months, see how they're doing, and notice should be very clear in your minds that if we don't move forward, then we're going to have to pull a charter.
Mr. President,
we can't, I think the rule is we can't come back in 6 months. We have to actually have a contract in place by July 1st. And that would be a contract for 2 years, according to the renewal that we did. Maybe we could make it 1 year, but the point being, I guess, is that, we have to do something before the July 1st. So,
I mean, if we decided and we voted against this, then it's ultimately really unfair to them because we did renew their charter for 2 years. So that's, I mean, I understand the reason, I understand the rationale, but it is really kind of unfair because they're thinking, well, they're going to be okay for 2 years. So that's the other side too. I mean.
Well, I think even.
And I know why.
Yeah, but even the renewal is based on the fact that they're going to have a performance contract that's approved. So, I mean, everybody knows that when you're doing the contract aspect, so.
Dr. Pearson?
Yes, Board Member Patterson.
Okay. So how many of these children are special needs children in your school? Out of these 70-some?
23%.
23%?
40%.
40%? Is it possible that if we don't renew the contract?
23%.
That was historically. This year, that's why we were so unprepared.
There was an increase?
Yes, so we
So
grew by
40%.
17%.
Okay.
Literally, every student that entered our doors in the fall came with an IEP. Some of them out of date, some of them in compliance.
Okay, if the contract is not approved, we don't renew this contract. Is it possible that APS can absorb these students within the district?
Well, I think by definition, we'd have to. I mean,
We have to. Yeah,
we don't really have a
So there is a
choice
place for
here.
these children, there is a place for our students. There is a place if the contract is not approved.
Yes, Mr. President and Board Member Patterson, yes, that's called FAPE, Free Appropriate Education and Equal Opportunities for All Students. So we're happy to support any special ed student who enrolls in our schools.
And so we do have a place for these 79 students within the district.
It's our obligation to serve their needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board Member Montoya Cordova.
And, I'm thinking about, like, the conversations about, like, is it fair, is it not fair? The other concern that I have here is the amount of time and effort that our district is giving to, like, supporting this administratively when we are not the governing council for it, or we don't have that responsibility for the actual implementation. So I'm concerned about the time and effort in our ability and our capacity, even if we put them on a corrective action plan, how much effort is that going to require on our resources so that we can follow that? Because if they do come into place and we have a corrective action plan or it's conditionally approved or whatever, and within 6 months, let's say it's not satisfactory, the performance is still not satisfactory, I'm wondering the amount of time that it's taking for us to monitor up to that point so that we can assure that all of this is going to occur. So that's one of my areas of concern in this, because I don't know how large this is, and I'm trying to think of, like, all the other stuff that's on our plate in terms of what our school district is already having to do, and this is the responsibility of a governing council. And what I'm struggling with is that you had a 40% increase. You had students that were coming in with disability needs, and yet you didn't fill the positions. So, I mean, that's where I'm struggling in my mind, because I'm not understanding why the governing council wasn't addressing that immediately when the need was, like, glaring you down in, like, and it's just right there, right in front of you. So my question is, Joseph, in terms of, like, our ability to to really sustain that and support this.
Well, Ms. Montoya Cordova, I can only speak for myself, and I've been in this position for 2 years. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that the Charter School Office has put issued a notice of unsatisfactory performance. We have issued 3 this year. One corrective action plan for a school of financial concerns, and I can tell you that Ms. Bergs and I have spent a tremendous amount of time and about 10 visits to the school, about 20 meetings, working with the school. So a corrective action plan is very time consuming. However, that doesn't mean that I am not going to do my job and my due diligence as your authorizing agent to follow through on this. It is what we need to do. And so it does take a lot of time. However, we need to make sure that they are into compliance. And so if they get a corrective action plan, we will monitor it until the last piece of paper shows that they are fully executed. And then we will continue monitoring it at our annual site visits. And so we are putting the processes and systems into place that, frankly, for 20 years, we have not done with fidelity.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to do something.
You just don't know what, right?
If somebody wants to put up a motion, yeah. Oh, yet another.
If I may add a couple of comments, please.
Okay.
In full transparency.
Okay.
On Monday, you will be approving a full budget for this district and the charter schools.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to tell you what you're going to see on Loretta Solana's.
Okay.
Basically, they were funded in this current year on 82 students. They are funded next year on 71 students, so there's a decrease of 10 and a half students. So they will lose funding next year. The amount of the loss of funding is $28,000, so it's not that large, but their budget will be $807,000. So they have quite a small budget. That's all of the summary information that I have, but I just wanted to make sure that you had that information before you took action. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody want to venture a thought, a motion of some kind? I mean, you can motion to postpone it. You can motion to deny the contract. You can motion to accept the contract. I mean, those are all options here.
Or motion to move it to June, like you had suggested.
Middle of June, one of our meetings in June. Okay, I have a motion to move.
I'd move to just, give them that chance, so.
Okay, so we have a motion to move it to sometime in our next meeting in June. We'll hope that you can get a corrective action plan in place by that time, and one that you can authentically say, I think it'll work. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, let's have a roll call to make sure we've got it total.
Aragon.
Yes.
Barbara Peterson.
Yes.
Lorenzo Garcia.
Yes.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova.
No.
Candelaria Patterson.
No.
Elizabeth Armijo.
Yes.
Dr. David Piercy.
Oh, my God.
It's 4-2 right now anyhow, so.
No, it's 3-3.
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
it's 4-2.
Is it 42?
Yeah,
So you're okay.
Okay, yes.
You would have to think about it harder if it was a tie.
Yeah. I did have to think about it a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll go on to our last item, which an item I'm very excited about, by the way. And this is an item on the presentation. It's called Parent Interventions in APS, but in reality, and it's by our special education lead, Lucinda, as well as Sandy Main, who who is a special SLP evaluator and Southeast Diagnostic Center. But Sandy has been a master in the Hansen program. She has given tutorials internationally on this. She's been asked to do that. It's, you heard from a few of the parents here, and one of the things that in talking with Lucinda as well as Sandy was the question of how do we get this message out to all of our people that this program actually exists. And that was one of the questions that we had. And the other one was maybe we need to let the board know a little bit more about what this program is all about and what good results it has, what research it has. So I'm going to turn this over to Lucinda and to Sandy, and we got a little bit of a presentation here, and I know they can get through that pretty quickly. But thank you very much, and I know it's late, but
and we'll be quick. Thank you, President Piercy and members of the board. Tonight, we're going to share with you a preschool and early elementary school student-centered parent intervention program with students with language delays. What makes this program so unique is the parent component of empowering parents in becoming their child's first communicating partner. It's a wonderful program. It's exciting. We've seen great gains with our kids, and it really, really has an education component of how parents can support their preschoolers and their early elementary students if they have articulation problems and some language concerns. So these two ladies that are here with us tonight, Sandy Main, right here, and Amy Witt, right here, have been instrumental in getting this program off the ground. We've been doing it for quite a few years, and what we really want to do is increase the information about this program to more families, because this fits in with the whole child, and this fits in with the early childhood education model, and it prevents many of our children from being placed into a program. So I would like to introduce Amy and Sandy, and I don't know who's... Sandy Main is going to start.
Mr. President, board members, and Superintendent, thank you for inviting us here tonight. So I think that we have some slides. It's on there? Okay, thank you. All right, so we call our program Parent Facilitated Interventions, and I think that it's important to kind of explain what that means and what we're doing. My colleague Amy and I have been running these programs in APS since 2005. And we have had wonderful support from the special education leadership, because this really does bring in that parent component. It really looks at how we can make parents partners in their children's communication services. So our programs that we run were developed by a program called the Hansen Center. This is a leader in parent-implemented intervention, and it is a not-for-profit charitable organization. Basically, they develop these programs based on most current research, and then they train clinicians around the world. Myself, as well as Amy, have, an extra job where we actually work for the Hansen Center, and we do get to travel nationally and internationally to train other speech therapists in the program. So we feel pretty strongly about it. We think it's a great program. So what does this whole parent-facilitated intervention actually mean? It's really talking about what is it that we think is the parent's role in their children's education. And there has been research on this for many, many years. This is just a current one that says parents are the experts and they want to do right by their child. And you've definitely heard that from a few of the parents who spoke here tonight. If any of you have children and any of your children struggled in anything in school, you know that not knowing what to do about that is almost debilitating. It's so overwhelming. So what these programs do so well is they actually give parents the skills that they need to help their child develop skills. So there has been a lot of research that says that parent training really does work. What they say is that with coaching from a therapist, with a therapist who really is able to present information to an adult learner, that we see parents are as effective or more effective than clinicians in supporting their children. So we know that the families need to be involved, they need to be involved early, and they need to be given appropriate training. All right. put on my glasses, make sure I'm not missing anything, sorry. In addition, this style of training is used as the initial intervention for families in a lot of different countries. In places where we don't have the same timelines in place for education and support services, many families are put on a wait list for many years before they receive services. That is actually why these programs were first developed, is that they are so powerful, they work as a standalone intervention, whether the children are getting other services or not. So when we run the Hansen programs here in APS, we are really looking at 3 different pieces. The first is we're trying to educate the parents. In a series of 7 to 8 group sessions, the parents come together with us for classes, and we give them information and strategies about their child's communication. So as mentioned before, we work with parents of children who have language delays, who are maybe not yet communicating or not able to communicate very clearly. We also work with children with social communication delays and autism. So it's a huge range, and for a parent to know where does my child fall and what's the expected next step is really important. So we teach them these strategies that they can go home and use in everyday situations, and that's really where the intervention comes in. So what parents do at every group session is they develop a home plan, and that home plan has a goal. I want my child to reach this benchmark while we are doing snack this week. That's the goal. We have a very set idea of what they want to do and what the strategy is going to be. So every time that the parent uses the strategy, the child is receiving direct intervention. It's just not through a special education provider. It's through a parent. The other real benefit of this, and I think G mentioned this earlier, is the piece involved where Amy or myself visits with the family and the child. They tell us what their plan is, and we videotape them using their plan. If they need help, we give them some coaching. Remember, wait, let him talk. And then we sit down with the parent right then and there and watch the tape back so the parent can really see, oh my gosh, when I do this, he's able to look at me. He smiled. He took a turn and used a word. And so it's really that self-reflection. That's the key, and why parent intervention works, is the parents don't just hear the information and agree with us, they actually own it. So that's where the intervention piece really comes in. The last reason that these parent programs is very powerful is the support component. So as I mentioned before, if you've ever been a parent of a child who had any issues learning, it's the last thing you want to talk about at a dinner party. You don't really want to share that with all the other people you know. Yeah, my child is still struggling in math. You don't really want to talk about it. When you're talking about children with very significant delays, these parents are often feeling very isolated. So when they come to these programs, they really start to interact with others who are experiencing similar challenges. And you may have seen a couple of the parents like hugging and saying hello out back there when they came in, because they've become a support system for each other. It's phenomenal to watch, and it's very exciting for Amy and myself. So overall, an entire program like this, where the parents attend group sessions and have individual visits, lasts about 12 weeks. We typically run one in a semester. It's about common. Each of us would run one, so we're running more than one at a time. But when we think about these programs, they're actually very cost effective. And if you think about it, if I'm running a group session, and I have 7 or 8 of those, and it's about 2.5 hours for a group, and we usually have somewhere between 6 and 12 families in that class. That is only taking me about 20 hours out of my work to do that with this family. If I gave each one of those families that same amount of time, we'd be talking at 80 hours. I mean, it would be using up so much more of a resource. Let's face it, speech therapists in the district are resources. So we're doing it in a very cost-effective manner by working with the families. The other reason that it is very cost-effective, however, is that it really increases the intensity of intervention for these kiddos. So as you have probably heard from families whose children are receiving special education, they often hope that the idea of more direct service is what is really going to make a difference. What we actually know is more service in the natural situation makes the biggest difference. That kids get the most benefit by having these strategies interwoven in their day. So when parents attend the program, We send them home with lots of home plans. I will tell you that we ask them to only do the home plan 5 to 10 minutes at a time, but each week they get another one. Oh, some weeks 2 or 3. They get a lot of different activities. So what I put on there is that during the course of the program, typically parents are working with their child directly, with a plan in place, with a goal in mind, about an hour a day minimum. And I would guess that for a lot of families it's a lot more. Yes, Anna? Yeah. It becomes kind of a way of life. But that's 60 hours of intervention over the course of 12 weeks. That's amazing. That's a lot of intervention. So really the amount of time for the district is not a huge investment of time, but for the child it's up to 80 hours of service. So it's a huge difference. And it is no wonder then that we see our children make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, because they are getting a lot of intervention. The other reason that this works so well really speaks to the idea of generalization. So generalization is when a child can learn to do a skill in one setting and they can do it somewhere else. It's one of the biggest complaints is for kids having a hard time moving something from school to home or home to school. So this definitely fits in with the superintendent's Big Five, developing the whole child and working on that family engagement. Generalization is built into this program because activities are happening in the natural environment. Some of the parents mentioned the idea that it's really nice if Amy or myself is able to meet with the teacher as well, and we do that when invited, so that we really are able to say, this is working really well at home, how can you do this at school? And vice versa, for a teacher to tell us, this works really well at school, can we get the parents on board with that? So we get a lot of generalization in the program. Basically, what happens as the parents go through the training is parents really build their confidence. This is truly a parent empowerment program where they believe that they truly are an equal partner in their child's education, and that is the power of the program. They recognize that what they are doing is crucial for their child's school success. So every one of our programs is evidence-based. I'm not a statistician, Dave. Dr. Piercy, sorry. And so I don't have, that kind of information on each child, but we do show progress for every child. So this is an example of the evidence for one of our programs called It Takes Two to Talk. In It Takes Two to Talk, we work with parents of children with language delays, and one of the things that is measured is how many words do they have at the beginning of the program and at the end. So this particular table is taken from original research on the program at the Hansen Center, showing how great a difference it was for the children in the program over the course of 3 months, how much more their vocabulary increased. And that is the kind of data that we do keep on our kids. For the most part in APS, what we have seen in It Takes Two to Talk is our children often double or triple their vocabulary in that course of that 3 months if they are at the point of using words. We see lots of other growth as well. That's one of the areas that we measure. One reason that this is so helpful is those young children who have that language delay, if they make this much progress that quickly, often are exited from services a lot faster and are not still receiving speech-language services in elementary school. We also run 2 programs for parents of children with autism or social communication delays, and we measure their progress in different ways. With those kiddos, we're very rarely looking at a vocabulary kind of goal. We're looking at how they use their language functionally with other people. So in More Than Words, our program has 4 stages of communication development. So we tend to look at what are all the different steps, what are all the different goals that a child should be able to do before they move to the next step. So this slide is simply an example of one of those students. I had a child at a particular stage called the early communicator stage. At the beginning of the program, he only had 2 of the 12 skills that we were measuring, and by the end, he had 7 of the 12. So that's a big jump in just that short amount of time. I forgot to mention on the last one how many kids we have worked with. So in It Takes Two to Talk, we have worked with 149 children since 2005. This was the first program we started in the district, and it was started as just one small class. So we have over time built these programs dramatically. at this point in More Than Words, we didn't start this program until 2007, and we have worked with 131 children in the district and have seen amazing progress and a lot of parent responses that they really have appreciated and learned a lot from the programs. So in our last program for children on the autism spectrum or with social communication delays, we look at several different things. Basically, how well do they take turns in conversation? These are those really verbal kids that are typically mainstreamed in elementary school, but are still having problems. Lots of breakdowns on the playground, lots of not wanting to do what the teacher says. Most of that is rooted in difficulties with something we call theory of mind, which is understanding that other people have different desires, thoughts, and beliefs than you do. So if you don't understand that other people are happy when you give them a turn on the slide, you're not going to give anybody a turn because you like it. You don't want to share it. So that's really where this pops up. So in the Talkability program, one of the things we measure is these 5 different stages of tuning in. So this, again, is an example. It's just a bar graph of one of my students. Each one of these stages has 3 steps, and so you'll see through the course of the program, kids move through these steps. You can't move to the next stage until you understand this one, and the parents learn how to support these different goals. Some of the things that parents say about that program are pretty exciting. Things like, you know what? He finally asked me what I wanted for dinner. That's a huge, huge thing. It's very fulfilling, and it's very exciting to see these changes in the family dynamic. We started this program in 2011, and since that time, we've worked with 54 children in that program. We did mention earlier that it is often hard to get the word out about our programs. It takes 2 to talk, and More Than Words tend to be targeted mostly to preschool. Talkability is end of preschool and into elementary school. I will say this is where we're lacking the most in advertising. These are the parents who come to the classes, and you heard some of them say this, like, I don't understand why I never heard of this. I've had 6 IEPs. How did no one mention it? So that's where we're wondering, like, where can we make sure that information is getting to them sooner, because they might have benefited from some support along the way. So those are the programs that we are currently running in Albuquerque Public Schools. In addition, we did run a parent program for parents of children who failed an articulation screening in preschool. So in preschool, children fail a screening, and then they receive an evaluation to determine if they need direct services. What we wanted to do was create a Tier 2 intervention, like everybody else has. We didn't have that in preschool, so we built this one around a parent intervention program. This was optional. If parents chose to do it, they came to it. They came to 1 to 2 group sessions. They had individual visits, just like the other programs we talked about, with video feedback. And one of the big things that they learned is what's typical. When you think about how children pronounce words in preschool, typical is a really big range. So simply to hear that, yes, it's actually okay that your child still says wascally wabbit is very comforting. That's what we say at this age. It's okay. What we found in that program, we ran that for 5 years, and we worked with 251 kids in that program. And 138 of them did not go on for an evaluation. They were age appropriate after 2 months. We didn't have to evaluate them. So this was a huge time saver, very cost effective, and it empowered parents, again, to not have that awful feeling of I'm not doing enough. They knew what they could do. In addition, we did run some programs for teachers along the way. We ran a program called Learning Language and Loving It that went across an entire school year. Teachers, again, learned strategies. We went out to their classrooms and videotaped them and gave them feedback on how well they were really getting their children to interact and engage in classroom activities. And then that program changed into something called Teacher Talk that didn't have quite the number of sessions for the teachers, but they still received the training. One nice thing about these programs is they link very closely to what the parents learn, and so they were able to speak the same language. We definitely still have some teachers in the developmental preschool programs who took the courses, and they refer families to us all the time because they say, Hansen is the greatest stuff. This is the best information. You need to know this. So we have been running the program since 2005. one of the things to think about is what was the cost to APS for all of that? So from about 2005 to 2007 was the largest chunk of cost. There was probably about $5,000 spent on training personnel. We needed to go to the trainings to learn how to teach the parents. In addition, we were able to spend about $3,000, we think, on books. That way the parents are not required to purchase their own book. There is no cost to the parents for this program. So we have a lending library, and that was paid for through the special education department. In addition, when we were training teachers, we had to have substitute pay. So that was one of the costs. As far as annual costs, though, we make copies for each of our classes, and about every 3 years, the special ed department buys us some new flip charts and markers. It takes us about 3 years to go through it. So we're actually a pretty low-cost program. Probably the highest ongoing cost is our salaries. I will say that our special ed leadership has seen what an important program this is and how well it supports their goals, as well as the entire district academic master plan, and continues to fund our positions to provide this service because they think it's very important. So it's been a really nice thing to have that kind of support. So in addition to telling you a little bit about this information, Dr. Piercy did ask me to talk about what else could we do with this idea in Albuquerque Public Schools. So with the great support of our special education leadership, we will continue to run the programs for our parents of children with language delays and autism spectrum or social communication delays. We are talking about possibly returning to the parent intervention for Tier 2 interventions for children with articulation as well. And one other thing that I just wanted to present to you is there is an early literacy training that could support the master academic plan in the idea of early learning and thinking about those critical components of early childhood literacy. So there is a program through Hansen called ABC and Beyond, and in that training, a teacher would get trained in this, and they would learn all of those critical components of pre-K literacy. Basically, as far as cost to the district, we would probably need to train 1 to 2 teachers in this program. Then they could be trained in a parent component to this program so that they could actually train the parents to do these things. And that, I think, is the exciting piece. Is much like we've talked about with our other parents, parents would know how to be equal partners in their child's education. So in the parent training, the parents would learn the same critical skills, and they would have strategies like, oh my gosh, how do I really build print awareness when I'm just doing a shared reading activity? Again, they get a lot of support, a lot of coaching from their trained teachers. So cost to APS would be, again, training personnel and purchasing books. This would be a piece of a general education side. I'm just presenting the idea that it is available. Let's see. So, Mr. President and board members, I would like to open it up to any questions you have at this moment. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you very much. Any thoughts from board members?
Can I hear the breakdown again one more time on the age for the programs?
Sure. So with most of our programs, there is not a specific age. So it takes 2 to talk and more than words. We usually work with preschool students. But if we have a child who's maybe 8 or 9 years old and is still not yet communicating with words, they might still be appropriate for It Takes 2 to Talk. So we open the door for all early elementary. For the talkability program, that usually starts around age 4, and we work with kids usually up to about 11 or 12. We usually stay in the elementary school ages. With the articulation program, that is just for 3- and 4-year-olds. Maybe 5-year-olds if they're not in kindergarten yet.
Great, thank you so much.
I guess Board Member Garcia.
So do you offer these services in languages other than English?
We do not. What we do is, if parents are comfortable attending the classes in English, Then when they do their individual visits with their child, they speak to their child in whatever language they use, and they just help us figure out what they said when we're trying to give them some support and coaching. We have at times had interpreters attend the classes with us to support some of the families, and for a short time we did run It Takes Two to Talk in Spanish. Excuse me. But we didn't have a huge response, so that didn't continue.
So I guess my concern is that, first I want to thank you for what you're doing. It sounds excellent. But my concern is that we have a number of students who do not speak English and parents who don't speak English, and unless you have a very intentional effort that you're making, you're going to get the response you got. Mm-hmm. So my hope is that that can be on your to-do list as you move forward. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Board Member Monterey Cordova.
I was just curious, when are the programs offered? Like what time of day too for parents?
So we offer programs during the school day so that they don't have to arrange childcare, and in the evening. So we hold orientation sessions. We invite the parents in and we say, okay, which program is best for your child? What time of day is best for you? And that's actually how we make the decision each semester which one we're going to be running. So this last semester, Amy and myself were both running evening programs because that worked better for our families. Last semester, I had an equal number of parents who needed morning and evening for more than words, so I actually ran the same class twice in one day. But I wanted to make sure that they all had access to it.
And where were those classes offered?
It really depends on what location we can get. Oftentimes our nighttime classes are held here at City Center because it is close to the freeway. We have held them at many different school sites depending on what's closest for the families and what rooms are available. So that has dictated some, of course. We've also used off-school sites, things like the New Mexico Educators Training Center. I think I've held a couple of things at the Autism Center. So it just depends on where we can find a room that is going to be workable for the families.
And would you say that the students that have received these services, is it just pretty much been across the whole city, or is it? Okay.
It's been across the whole city. One nice thing is that Amy lives on the west side of town and I live on the east side of town, and it's often been a little bit easier for us when we are providing those home visits that we have been on opposite sides of the town. But we have worked with families from the very far northwest into the East Mountains. I have had several families out like in the Los Padillas area. So yeah, we've covered the whole city.
That's it.
Yes, Board Member Peterson.
How many families at a time can you accommodate?
We typically have between 6 and 12 families in a group session, so for one semester. We prefer to have at least 6 to run a class, and 12 is hard. 12 is pretty hard, but we do it if we have that many parents interested. Of course, we still do that.
Okay. We always talk about parent involvement, but finding structures for it that work is not always easy, so this is impressive. I think the challenge is increasing the numbers and getting the word out.
Yeah.
How many more parents could you really accommodate, though? There's just 2 of you, correct?
Right. There are a couple of other SLPs in the district that are trained in the programs that are not currently running programs. Honestly, it really depends on what else we are doing in our work. So at a certain point, Amy and myself were both full-time doing Hansen. We were running multiple classes at a time. We are now doing evaluations part-time and running the parent training. So it really depends on where do we need the resources. If we had more parents who were asking for the classes, that is certainly something we would talk about with special education leadership as to how much do we need to do. But honestly, I want a full class every time I run a class. Every time I have families come to my class, they say, I can't believe that everyone in my son's class isn't here. And I think that's one of the issues. I would like to make it more accessible. I'd like to make it easier for families to attend. But I also just want to make sure they all know that it's available to them.
Right, I think just getting the word out. So are you trying to get the word out in a better way?
We are talking about some different ways to do it next year, yeah. And that's something that we're discussing with leadership, like what will be the best ways to do this. Currently, what we do is we send flyers to all the speech-language pathologists in the district. We send them to every teacher of a developmental preschool program and every teacher of an a social communication class, a social communication class in the district up through grade 5. So we ask that they send the flyers home with the parents. In addition, we have trained our early childhood IEP teachers, and they often mention the programs at those first IEPs, and the parents receive information then. The team contacts us, and then we follow up with those families and say, hey, do you want to come? So we do a lot of personal invitations as well.
Well, it sounds wonderful, and I think we should try to grow successful programs and stop those that aren't. So yours sounds like one that should grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Well, thank you, Sandy and Amy. I appreciate greatly the information. One last thing, you didn't really laud as much as I think really is out there on the Hansen program. For example, I think you have told me before that Canada uses this as its sole pre-K literacy.
They do use this in certain areas as their sole literacy, as their sole intervention.
Right.
The literacy program that I mentioned has actually been adopted in several different countries as their first literacy component as well. I forgot to write down what they were, so I am sorry, Mr. President, I have that.
I think the point is that, and we talk about this a lot about the ability to sustain a program. Well, we got 2 people here, plus maybe a couple others. So what you can do is what you can do, and you can sustain that because you know what you're doing, but it's limited in terms of the number of people. I think I mentioned, and maybe this is something you can bring up with Lucinda, because Sandy talked about the possibility of using Synergy to get message out to parents, and I said, well, I don't know that everybody can just get on Synergy and send stuff to parents, but I said certainly our administration can. And to actually target, in other words, if we know students that need these kinds of services or would benefit mostly from these services, could you maybe call that and make sure that you get it sent to those parents in terms of making sure it's targeted to them to say, hey, here's a program that you might be interested in, and if you need more information, please contact here. That way we would have a much larger to the parents, because you send it out to our SOPs and everybody else, and yeah, maybe they get it out, maybe they don't. But if you can get it directly to the parents, I think that probably would be a little bit better strategy to make sure that they at least know such a thing exists. Then they could, when they come and they say, well, somebody sent me this thing on Hansen, what's that all about? And they at least ask the question. So I think that's maybe a possibility. So those are good things. And again, it's time.
It's time.
A lot of what you're doing, I think, is critical to what we call how do you build capacity. And what you're building capacity here is with the parents. And if we can get the parents involved, and I know you guys in Hoover know this, if you get the parents involved in what you're trying to do, you're going to have a lot more success than if you're just trying to do it yourself, because you only have a certain amount of time. They have a lot more time. And so if you can get this coordinated so that you get a lot more service, so to speak, and then the parents who sometimes just don't know what to do. They don't know what to do sometimes, and they need to have these kinds of ideas of what can I do. And so I think that's, again, where it goes, it depends on what we have for funds, it depends on what we have to do things. But, we talk all the time about early literacy. We talk about early learning. And then we have a program over here, and another program over here, and another program over here. And I never know, what are those going to do for me, And I say, well, we have a program here that has great research behind it, that has great results. Why not try that, And that's pretty unique. That's thinking differently than we've been thinking, I think, in the past. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you, board members. Thank you.
So we do have, we do have a few more things on our plate here tonight. So we have board member comments, which we've had a lot tonight, but you may have something really important to say.
We haven't yet done.
Oh, we're not even close, are we?
We're not even close. We are on.
We're on capitals.
Still have about.
We got the
Spatial issues, we're still going on. Yeah. We had the two qualification-based proposals, and the one thing that I asked was to have the actual qualification bid information. And as I understand it here, we have had that given to us, correct?
Correct.
And so we have that information now. So, this is item E, which is consideration approval of the qualification-based proposal bid for the $5.89 million for the Thompson Construction and Corporation for Montessori and the Rio Grande Charter School, Phase 2. We had the discussion, we just didn't have the qualification bid.
Correct.
So.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, and do we have a second?
second it.
Oh, really quickly.
I did it.
Thank you.
I like that.
Is there any discussion on this?
My only comment was, I actually caught a funny thing, is that on the one for the Montessori of the Rio Grande, and there was one place where there were only 15 possible points, and one of the evaluators had given that item 16 points. But I don't think it altered the outcome. So that's.
Yeah, it was member number 1, right?
Yeah.
That
But I don't think it affected.
management plan, it was better than, that's the 110%.
Yeah, that's the 110, that's right, management plan for Thompson Construction. I
Kind of
think,
like you, Barbara.
I think point-wise, they would.
Probably that was, yeah, I understood.
We're
Okay.
assuming it was a typo.
I'm hoping it was a typo, yes. But it wouldn't change the outcome.
Change it.
But it wouldn't have
Wouldn't
changed the outcome.
yeah.
Don't change anything.
Good. Well, those are the kind of points that we love to bring out, you know, the little,
Points.
the little editorial things that you guys are always scared about that we're going to find.
Yeah, you guys always find them.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you. And F is the consideration of approval of the qualification proposal and bid for $9+ million and applicable taxes submitted by Thompson Construction for the Janet Kahn School for the Integrated Arts. This is Phase 1.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
so we got to move in second. Any discussion? Didn't find any typos here, huh?
No.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you very much. And thank you, guys. And thank you for spending time to get this. I did talk a little bit with Karen about the issues of trying to get this. And one of the issues is that in our access, we have some real rules now on access, right? In other words, who has access to this information? And when we put this on the web, people, for example, who are blind, people who can't hear, people who can't see. Well, that's blind. I hit that twice, Candy. Yeah, you did. They need to be able to have access, right, to this. And it's difficult to have the voiceover on this for people who have to have the verbal aspect of this, speaking to them as to what it is all about. And you can imagine that. Taking one of these tables, right? How exactly am I going to do a voiceover of these tables to tell you what's in these tables?
Right.
You kind of need somebody who understands about how to explain tables, not just verbal communication. And so it's a little bit of an iffy thing to try to get this done. So that was one of the issues. But I think, again, we can still get paper copies. We can still see that. And if you can make sure that we get an electronic copy so that Candy can blow it up and see it, a little bit, that's kind of what we need to have as a board. But you have a larger problem of access control. So I appreciate greatly you doing this, and I hope you weren't insulted by our attempt to do that.
It was a fair request.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go on to the two items that we removed from our consent calendar. One was the 7A.2. That's the approval of the Board of Education authorization to the superintendent to execute this memorandum of understanding to accept, so to speak, tentatively this donation of 150 acres pending lots of analysis and other things. So Peggy wanted to move that off, so we will take a motion to accept that, and then we'll vote on it. Do I have a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And no, and it's because of what I had pointed out before, where number 9 just says that APS won't involve itself in activities that aren't directly related to its mission as an educational services provider, so that's somebody else deciding for us what we think are educational services. And the fact that I think it was number 6 where we have to start building by 2023, or we risk it being reverted back to wall. And I mean, we're taking the land off property tax rolls when we don't even know that we may have the money. So that also affects us. So that's why I'm voting no.
Understood, yeah, and I think
Thank
those
you.
are issues for us to make sure we keep in mind, as we go forward. Yes?
I thought we had deleted, I thought.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't.
I thought that was,
that
the
was the
reason
vote as
we pinned it this was because we needed to remove item number 9. Board
Talked
Member
about it,
Garcia.
but we didn't do that.
We didn't?
Well, if I may, I
Yes.
heard the staff explanation, and I
You accepted it.
thought that I would be willing to accept it. I didn't think someone else was defining our mission. That was my concern when I raised it.
Yeah.
But as I understood it, we were saying this is what, our staff were saying, this is what we're about as an educational institution.
Yeah. So, words do mean things, and they mean things differently to different people. So I think that's what we're seeing there, okay? Let me go on to the other one, which is the 7B.4, which is the approval of the ELA instructional materials for elementary schools, and that was the benchmark advance that we had. And so I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
And we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay.
Part of it, Dr. Piercy, is, I mean, some of these that I read, from teachers,
Yeah.
why did they do this to us? I'm at the end of my rope. It was like, why did they adopt this? There's so many holes that it's 50% there, but not all the way. I'm just feeling so anxious. This isn't about kids. The scripted teacher guidebook, yuck. The pacing is slow, as I'm desperate as a veteran teacher of 34 years. It's like the passages are boring. This is not about kids. There's so many editing errors and incorrect titles. It might be good for a first-year teacher, but it was too long for seasoned veterans. And I found a few pros. Script is helpful. Lessons address the CCSS. We've been asking for a curriculum that goes along and the program addresses them, but the texts aren't engaging, the timing is off, the vocabulary needs to be pre-taught, the assessments are too involved. If you care just about assessments, this is the program to have. And it just kind of went through some of the things that they asked little 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds to their prompts. One of them was their 7-year-old had to write a personal letter to someone from the point of view of a smoke jumper. Imagine taking on the perspective that even adults have a hard time with, much less having a 6- and 7-year-old doing that. Another one was a first grade read aloud was about a guy in South Africa who created a surf club to keep teenage delinquents off the street. I could go, this was a teacher said I could go on and on, but I'm on my 35-minute lunch break. Run away as fast as you can. This program's so far away from being developmentally appropriate for primary. So that's coming from teachers, so.
Okay.
But thank you.
Sure. Okay, we'll go on to the rest of the approval of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion to
I move
approve
for
the rest?
approval.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Now we'll go on to board member comments. Do we have any?
Oh, my God, no.
None?
Yeah, if we all say no, it's like, that's good. But if we don't.
None?
Venture it. No,
If we open it up,
And everybody.
it'll be, this was a really hard, public forum tonight was really hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Not because people shouldn't be here, but because they were hard issues.
Sure.
And it just goes back to everything in education is based on relationships. The only way that we function as a district and the way that kids learn is in the relationship that they have and that we have with each other. And as I listened tonight, it seemed like everything just came back to what kinds of relationships do people have. So with each other as colleagues, with students. And so I hope that somehow we can look at what's going on at Hoover and how those decisions are made. And you know, we end up, we're in a hard position as a board lots of times, and I know finance is in a hard position, and it comes down to numbers sometimes, and people start moving things around because it seems logical, and it makes it work because there's this jigsaw puzzle of how do we have people and how do we have money and where can things fit, and we end up dealing with issues like, you know, just trying to make all of the pieces fit together. But when we do that, we lose sight of that relationship that really is the foundation for what happens for kids. And so I don't know what the solution is. We don't have it up here, but over and over again, the more that we can pull in people and talk about, put the problem on the table. This is the problem. How are we going to do it? And usually the people who are the practitioners find the solution that they need to make it work. And so if we can just step back and do that. I don't know anything about the details except for what we heard tonight. But I do think put the problem on the table and let practitioners really grapple with it to figure out how do you maintain the relationship and look for the solution that does address the specific problems that we have. And that's it.
I echo that as well. I think it was incredibly important to have Hoover and Madison here tonight talk about this transition and the information that they just learned about. And Mr. Hughes, you know, briefed us, but I think I'd love to hear more about this transition and this proposal and what it looks like, and because we do realize how important relationships are as it comes to education. So, I just, again, echo your sentiments and really thank Hoover and Madison for their passion and their energy for being here tonight and sharing that with us and letting us know. It's so important for us to hear your voice, so thank you.
And I agree. I just don't think that any of the teachers out there from Hoover, and I'm sure Madison and Hayes, the same thing. You don't want to risk hurting any of those children, and if moving them is going to hurt them, we need to think about making the decision that's going to be best for the kids, not for the adults, but what's best for the kids. So if I think one of you mentioned, why don't we start with sixth graders? That makes a whole lot more sense, and I think that would be a lot less hurtful. But I also don't know the details, but moving them and risking hurting any child goes against anything that any educator would ever do. So.
And we don't often hear the team approach sometimes. Not that folks work in silos, but to actually have folks come and talk about having established a family, which is also a team, it's really good to hear too. So.
I'm just a little concerned. I know about building relationships, and I echo what has been said. I'm a little concerned with a parent who was here so upset about their child at Painted Sky. If we could somehow reach out to that family, that would be very helpful to all of us, I believe, including those who are affected at the school by
And I think, Member Patterson, that Dr. Gonzalez went out to go talk to them already, so.
Yep. David Hansen and his wife. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
thank you.
But the reason that they were here, they're still hurting, and if we could kind of take a look at the family one more time or a couple of times and have that relationship with them. And so then the other thing I just want to say, congratulations to all the seniors of 2018. Yoo-hoo!
Yes.
And the families and the teachers and the principals and the staff. They make a difference in their lives, and that's why they were there. And I did walk the halls with the students with West Mesa High School at Susie Reyes Marble. It was so fantastic. It was just outstanding. It was really a lot of fun. and stuff. So I had a lot of fun doing that and stuff. And I just wanted, and for the Albuquerque, I just wanted to thank Franklin and Angela and Loretta, who are here, always advocating for the community and for the best person to serve at Albuquerque High. Thank you for being here and always being involved in the community. Thank you.
Hey, by the way, La Mesa rocks, for those of us who are at La Mesa. And meanwhile, Hawthorne, La Mesa was amazing. But Hawthorne had a meeting last night. I want to thank Dr. Blakey for being there, because we were in the middle of another meeting that went until 8 o'clock.
It was like 10.
But meanwhile, the response of the community at Hawthorne, Whittier, and Los Padillas pulling together and saying, this is our school. We believe in it. This is our school.
So as the rookie finishing up my first graduation, I just want to say thanks to everybody that got me there on time to the right one. So that was like a no small feat. So, but I just want to say, in terms of the bilingual seal piece, because that was the part as I'm finishing up my first, graduation and end of the season with the school district, that bilingual seal program and the ceremony with Rio Grande and watching several valedictorians that carried that seal as well was so impressive to me. I went home and told my mom the stories about the two, especially the valedictorians that I got to hear, and their presentations as, youngsters starting out learning English and struggling through that, but actually make me cry. I don't know. I think I'm just in a bad mood too. But anyway, I'm emotional anyway, but it was a very emotional piece, and so it was beautiful to be able to see that, witness that. It was just so impressive.
And no pink eye.
And no pink eye.
Yeah,
1,200 hands later.
Yeah, and I did attend the ceremony. It is. It makes you cry. It really does. Very emotional. Very. You have families there, and you have the students in the bilingual seal program talking about what got them there and how they got there. And it's you have teachers from the elementary school level that were actually present there that made a difference in their lives. And that was so phenomenal. I attended the one at West Mesa High School. It was really wonderful.
Right. Any other comments?
Okay, I just have to mention the native student that gave one of the most incredible speeches I've ever heard. She was funny throughout and spoke in Navajo. It was quite moving. So also, yeah, I was really pumped by the graduations. Thank you.
Well, thank you, guys. I'm always humbled by all my board members here who have such great comments and such great interactions with everybody. I think you got a great board. I think people care here. I think they go and they visit schools, they visit parents, they visit, and so they care about our kids. I hope that the administration can work with our Hoover folks and their Madison folks, and let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out how this works. Can't be that hard. Can't be that hard. Let's figure out how it works, how to make it work better. That's kind of the idea. And I know you can do that, so we'll make sure that you guys can do that. I do have to mention the La Mesa, I guess, as Barbara did. It was just incredible. What an incredible display of unique, creative, innovative work by our kids. And the collaboration we have with UNM, with what I call real teacher preparation. This is what it's about. This is where we have to go. And so it's more than just kids parading around and doing a really good job and having some good education. But it's more than that, because it's how we ought to have our teachers educating our kids and that preparation process. And we're working hard with UNM and with the College of Education in terms of how to do that and how that apprenticeship works and how those things work. So I think it's really critical that we get a little bit out there about what we're doing in that program, because that's where it's really about. So I really appreciate that greatly. And you know, I would like to very much thank our board staff. I mean, you guys are incredible, what you did for graduation and what Julie did also. I mean, I always see her there. I mean, you guys are fantastic. So thank you guys. Absolutely great. Okay, so with that, we're not done. I'll have consideration for approval to convene to executive session pursuant to the NMSA 1978 Article 1015-1H5 for the purpose of discussing bargaining strategy preliminary to collective bargaining negotiations between APS and the bargaining unit representing APS employees. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And I'd like a roll call, please.
Yolanda Montoya Cordova?
Yes.
Peggy Muller Aragon?
No.
Lorenzo Garcia?
Yes.
Barbara Peterson?
Yes.
Candelaria Patterson?
Yes.
Elizabeth Armijo?
Yes.
Dr. David Piercy?
Yes. We will adjourn to the DeLeo Martin room, hopefully for a nice summary.
Or Louis Bar and Grill.
Thank you for this. Thank you very much. Really needed to do that.
Thank you. I know. I feel bad when I hear that. Because I usually.
Joseph.
Oh, okay.